What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. 7 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson, and we're beginning 4 hours of news and information that will inform you about what's going on in the world around you, help you get prepared for whatever comes by having the right information, and we'll get you home safely. That's the goal. And I got to tell you, heads up, before we go very far into the day, remember, we have some potentially severe weather headed our way tomorrow. So, do the things you need to do to prepare for that, and make sure that the batteries in your radio and all that kind of stuff are all charged up so that you got fresh batteries if you need them, so you can continue to monitor should we, have really rough weather. And this is really, I think, one of the first potential outbreaks of the season. So let's all be weather aware, be prepared for that. And of course, that means bringing in the cushions. Got to bring in the cushions. Very important.
Unless they're really dirty and you just want to, see if they can get washed off with the, I don't know.
And maybe they get blown away and you can get some new ones.
Well, there's that. Yeah.
There's that. All right. We, over the weekend, I'm very concerned about what's going on the border, but it's not just the border. It's what it means to the potential security of the homeland. There's a whole different issue there. Number one issue is why are we letting all these people into our country? And why are we, just giving them a piece of paper that means nothing because you don't got to show up in court for 7 years. And if you don't show up in court for 7 years, it's going to take another 7 years for them to find you if they care at all. So, that's part of it. But the other part of it is we have a lot of people coming into this country that we don't know anything about. And recently, as you know, ISIS-K carried off from their perspective, a very successful attack against, right in the suburbs of Moscow, taking out a number of people, and I think it was like 40 people were killed and more than 100 were injured. It's just a blatant attack. ISIS-K. We had beaten ISIS-K down to a nub. There wasn't much left to ISIS for a point until we get into this new administration and they decide to pull out of Afghanistan. They decide that they're not going to care about that at all. And we gave ISIS a chance to rebuild, and they rebuilt, and they are coming on, and they would love nothing more than to do in America what they did in Moscow. They hate us. They hate a lot of people, but we're on their list. We're high on their list, believe me. Over the weekend, more people are sending up the flare that we really need to be vigilant and that we need to be aware that an attack against the homeland is possible. And, I'm not wishing this, of course. I hope that we are on top of it. But when you let 1.8 million people into the country that you don't know anything about, maybe it's probably closer to 2 million people. Well, in Moscow, that was all carried out by 3 or 4 people. 3 or 4 people carried that out. And we can have that kind of attack, and ISIS would love nothing more than to carry out an attack in the homeland and claim responsibility for it. So listen to the stories that came out over the weekend. People are telling us, people who are in a position to know, people who study and think about this stuff endlessly, are sending up the flare. And I don't think we're paying much attention. From the post-millennial, the U.S. counterterrorism official warned that the ISIS-K terrorist organization could exploit the lack of security at the southern border to enter the country undetected and conduct an attack. I think they're probably already here, is my guess. The official, speaking on condition of anonymity, told the New York Post, an attack on U.S. soil is definitely a possibility. It would send a certain message. We are taking the threat of domestic ISIS-K attack very seriously, the official continued. They hate us and everything we stand for, and they're bold, and they're always looking for targets. Of course, ISIS-K was the terrorist organization that claimed responsibility for the attack at Crocus City Hall concert in Moscow. 137 people were killed last week. The organization also responsible for the suicide bombing in Kabul in 2021 that killed 13 U.S. troops. The U.S. attack, the Russia attack, was a big success for them, U.S. officials said, so they're going to be looking for something bigger. Former U.S. Army captain and Blackwater contractor Morgan Lorette told the Post, the open border is a huge concern for terrorists entering the U.S. in the light of the attacks in Moscow. It's only going to take a few of them to get armed and attack a large event such as a concert, a baseball game, Times Square, something like that, to bring a terrorism to U.S. soil. Some senators are paying attention. Tom Cotton, who sits on the Senate Intelligence Committee, said he's very worried about an attack from ISIS-K on U.S. soil. You don't even have to sit on the Intelligence Committee to have classified intelligence. You can just look at what the commanding general of our force in the Middle East said. He said you could have an attack like this in as little as 6 months. According to the Customs and Border Protection website, there were 901,549 illegal immigrants apprehended attempting to cross the border illegally in the beginning in March. That's just since March. In that period, 70 people on the terrorist watch list were apprehended trying to enter the U.S. Wow. Is that not scary? Does that not frighten you? It does me. And I think perhaps for those of us who were in Washington for the 9/11 attacks, it was very interesting. We responded, of course, to the attacks, but inside Washington there was a complete and thorough discussion of what went wrong and how we missed it. How did the intelligence agency miss it? And we know that things have been slipping through the cracks. We had no warning that Hamas was going to attack Israel. So, we have a difficult time trying to identify the motives and the actions of certain groups, especially when they do things the old-fashioned way, hand-to-hand passing of messages, no real use of electronic devices, etc. They plan meticulously in a way that it's very difficult for our government to pick up on. Very difficult. And with, we got 2, make it about 1.8, but then those are the known gotaways. There's probably, as they say, about 20% more who are unknown gotaways. So that comes to around 2 million people have come into this country. And a lot of people are being picked up and they're on the terrorist watch list. How many are getting through? How many are squeezing by with no interaction with law enforcement whatsoever? How many have come through the regular way and just haven't been identified? Do you have great confidence that our government and the onslaught that they're facing on the border is doing a good job of screening these people? I decidedly do not. I do not. From military.com, Moscow terror attack showed growing reach of ISIS-K. Could the U.S. be next? I think that's a serious problem. Yeah. Let me just get to the heart of this. There has not been a mass casualty assault in the U.S. carried out by the name of the Islamic State since 2017, and that's when a truck mowed down cyclist and a pedestrian on a New York City bikeway, leaving 8 dead. Yet 5 years after the Islamic State's group's territorial defeat in Syria, they had prompted hopes the terrorist network was in terminal decline. A recent spate of attacks has thrust the group into the spotlight, and a terrorism expert and scholar specializing in radical Islamic militant groups and the geographical scope of their attacks, this writer says, I believe these incidents underscore the growing threat of ISIS-K both within the region it draws support from and on the international scale. Person who studies this for a living. Since the U.S. withdrew from Afghanistan in 2021, officials in the Biden administration have repeatedly warned of ISIS-K's escalating danger to American interests, both at home and abroad. ISIS-K's propaganda has persistently framed the U.S. as its principal enemy, a narrative that is fueled by America's extensive military and economic efforts to dismantle Islamic State operations since 2014. Employing tactics refined during the period the Islamic State group was most active, ISIS-K seeks to inspire lone wolf attacks and radicalize individuals in the United States. Scholars who study this and think about it deeply on end. Military officials, Marco Rubio and others who serve on the Senate Intelligence Committee, raising the flare in recent days that we really need to be ready. And I don't think we're ready. Remember, the 9/11 attacks were carried out by 12 people with box cutters. The attacks that we saw in Moscow that were so devastating, 140 people dead at a concert venue, building set on fire, explosives set off. I mean, it was carried out by 3 people. What confidence do you have that our government is catching them all? I mean, just the odds of averages tells you that, you know what, there's a pretty good chance that people who do not have our best interests at heart have slipped through the border because they're taking advantage of what is chaos promulgated upon the America by Joe Biden. It's his border policy that is setting up this environment in which, well, we came out of Afghanistan. We left a vacuum there. ISIS-K takes advantage. You know, terrorists will always take advantage of a vacuum like that. And are we ready? No, we're not ready. Is it going to happen tomorrow? I hope it won't happen at all. I hope that our people are that good. But remember, the terrorists only have to be lucky once, and the people in counterterrorism have to be lucky every time. I think we should be, as a nation, paying very close attention to these voices that we're hearing. We remember we had last week, we had comments from Marco Rubio, and then we went back and played some of the things that are being said by the director of the FBI, Christopher Wray, and others. They're all sending up the flare. They're all sending up the notice that, you know what, we really could be in for it here, and we're not doing everything we can do. The other sad thing is that the Biden administration is doing this for political reasons. They are trying to change the voting demographic of America by letting so many people come in who they hope will eventually find a pathway to citizenship, and it will change voting demographics forever. And it's just crass politicism. It's all they're trying to politicize and take advantage of the border chaos to bring in more voters they hope will vote Democrat down the line. What we don't have is a desire to protect the homeland anymore. We are vulnerable, and we need to be paying attention to these voices. that are sending up the flare, giving us a heads up that we are in danger. I pray that I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. 20 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
A crash at the gate of an Atlanta FBI office. Bibles set on fire in Tennessee on Easter, and an update on the Baltimore Bridge from the Maryland governor. Those stories 30 minutes after the hour of 3 o'clock right here. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
There's Mac Morey with all our stories in the newsroom. And, of course, he's the He's the lead star in the runaway hit segment, McMurray's Wide, Wide, Wild World of Sports, which is at 5:25 every day. We'll have, we got a lot to talk about today.
We do. We got a lot to catch up on. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm really sorry about your balls.
I know. Thank you.
I feel sympathy for you because I know how it feels.
It's all my fault, I guess.
And then there's Chris Weber in the control room pushing all the blinky buttons. You boys have a good holiday, good Easter with family?
It was very nice.
Great weather.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Perfect.
Yeah, I know. Really, you couldn't ask for nicer weather.
Yep.
Yeah, and beyond the celebration of Easter, there was ham at my house.
As always got ham.
Well, that's a win.
We don't do ham often, but we had a really good ham and some cheesy potatoes that were just remarkably good. I'm reminded Ricky Skaggs, my friend, wrote a song about ham. Believe it or not.
Did he really?
He wrote a song about ham, and during the whole dinner, I couldn't get that song out of my head. I was eating ham, and I was just singing that song in my head. The payoff line is, no refrigerate, no expired date. You can't hurt ham. It's a culinary promise across the land. No refrigerate, no expired date. You can't hurt ham. And ham apparently is the food that survives. We could have a nuclear attack, and people would come back 100 years later and still find edible ham.
It'd be cockroaches and ham.
I was just about to say that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Well, anyway, it was a nice weekend, and we just we mellowed out around the house, got a lot of stuff done, working in the yard, and that is very relaxing and completely exhausting. I'll tell you. I used to could do yard work from sun up to sundown. Well, I don't know what happened.
Well, you can still do it. You just don't enjoy it near.
No,
as much.
I can't do it anymore.
No,
I'm out there with my power tools, and I'm waving around chainsaws and all kinds of heavy steel. I got all kinds. In my garage, it's steel all the way. STIHL, steel.
Yeah.
I got the weed whackers. I got the hedge trimmers. I've got the chainsaw, and I'm out there working. And I'm telling you, about 10 or 20 minutes of that, I got to go lay down for a few minutes. Didn't used to be that way. I don't know what the hell happened. Old age, I suppose, just is creeping up on you.
Half hour work, 2 hours of rest.
That's right. And then you go back and do another half hour, and then you dip the pool, take a dip in the pool, and then you go out and you do another half hour.
Yeah.
Try to intersperse it. And the whole day, probably only about an hour worth of work actually got done.
But boy, was it worth it.
Yeah, I'm not
so
sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
It never ends. That's the problem.
My problem now, I'm concerned, is that behind my pool, I have an outcropping of forsythia that has just gone beyond control.
Mm-hmm.
Forsythia is beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, very nice.
But it's very yellow, and it's pretty, and it's a good buffer, and I need it for that. But if you don't get in there and sort of whack at it, and it hadn't been whacked at in a long time, there's all kinds of things growing up in there. So I'm out there trying to clear forsythia with this massive piece of the power equipment, and it was like, I don't know. I don't know that I'm ever going to get through it all, because by the time I get all the way into that whole row, I need to go back and start on the other end again, because the stuff grows. It's just unbelievable.
So it's winning the battle, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's wearing me out.
Yeah.
And, by the way, I got permission to remove 2, maybe 3 Bradford pear trees.
Hey,
right. I guess that's good news.
That's a win.
That's a win. So I'm going to do what I can to get rid of the trash trees and replace them with something else.
Be a little less stinky at your house.
Yeah, a little bit, but I still got a lot of them. But a few of them are going to go away. They're going to bite the dust. That's right.
One at a time, I guess.
One at a time. These things you have to. When you're talking about things around the house, and you're married, it's a negotiation, it's a conversation, it's a discussion. It has to go for a little while till you finally come to agreement.
See, until you finally just give in and go.
I wanted 12 of them gone, and we settled on 2, maybe 3.
Little victories.
In the spirit of compromise. That's right. 30 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7.
3:30, I'm Mac Maury with your top stories. Currently 79 degrees in Nashville, mostly cloudy, and we're monitoring the chance for some severe weather tomorrow morning. The highest possibility is even past the morning, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. We'll have you covered right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. A weather forecast, a traffic report coming up in 5 minutes. An unauthorized entry attempt at Atlanta's FBI office with a vehicle. Andy Field has the latest.
The FBI says that just before noon, a man rammed his vehicle into their Atlanta field office entrance gate. It appears the driver was following an authorized car into the complex when they deployed a pop-up barrier to stop it. The driver got out of the vehicle and walked onto FBI property where agents arrested him. It's unclear what the driver was attempting to do.
Right now in Tennessee, a trailer containing Bibles was intentionally set on fire on Easter morning, Old Lebanon Dirt Road and Chandler Road. It was around 6 a.m. The trailer was dropped off near Global Vision Bible Church. Fire crews were able to extinguish those flames fairly quickly. There's no information on suspects as of now. And in Maryland, officials, including Governor Wes Moore, gave an update on salvage and recovery efforts at the Key Bridge this afternoon. Governor Moore urging patience as the cleanup gets underway, saying conditions with the rainy weather and the sheer amount of debris is limiting what rescuers are able to do at this stage.
We're talking about water that is so murky and so filled with debris that divers cannot see any more than a foot or two in front of them. We're talking about a situation where a portion of the bridge beneath the water has been described by Unified Command as chaotic wreckage.
The governor said his main mission is to not lose anyone in this rebuild. He said he had already lost 6 Marylanders and did not plan on losing any more. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather on the way. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yes, there is. Oh, no expired date. That's right. No expired date, no refrigerant, no expired date. You know you can't air ham. You know, I forgot about that part. That's Ricky Skaggs, and you can't hurt ham. And you can't hurt ham. Everybody knows that. And where else but in Nashville can you mention a song and then the guy who wrote it texts you on your phone? I got a text from Gordon Kennedy. He's a friend of mine and somebody that I met through Ricky, and he's very happy right now that we played "You Can't Hurt Ham" on the radio.
Nice.
So, and that for all you people who are listening on the stream, sorry, but it was a good moment on radio.
It was very nice.
We can't play music on the stream. I don't know why, but we can. All right, so much stuff going on here. I want to talk about, we were talking a moment ago about the threat of ISIS-K and maybe other organizations who want to come to this country and do us harm, is exacerbated by the fact that we pulled out of Afghanistan, left a power vacuum in that part of the world, and then on top of all that, then we opened up our borders and said, anybody who wants to come in, come on in. America's this way. We'll give you a piece of paper, and we'll talk to you in 15 years. I mean, not a good combination, but some other stuff is happening down at the border. A Texas magistrate, and I tell you, I don't know how to deal with this. I can't fathom this would happen, but it does. Texas magistrate judge ordered a migrant accused in the March 21st El Paso border riot, remember when they were shoving around the National Guard, to be released on a personal recognizance bond. Presiding magistrate Humberto Acosta set PR bonds for the migrants accused of rioting participation on Easter Sunday, according to the El Paso Times. It is the ruling of the court that all the rioting participation cases will be released on their own recognizance. Lovely. Lovely. Judge Acosta blamed the office of El Paso County District Attorney Bill Hicks for not being prepared for detention hearings. The Texas Code of Criminal Procedure requires the migrants arrested without a warrant have a hearing before a magistrate within 48 hours of their arrest. Additional magistrate hearings for arrested migrants are scheduled for Monday. Wow. Okay. That's lovely. Don't you just love that? And then there is this. Joe Biden is funding border security in other countries, not the U.S. According to the townhall.com, Joe Biden is reportedly spending hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars to fund border security in foreign countries as the U.S.-Mexico border sees record-breaking crossings daily. Biden signed a $1.2 trillion budget last week that included $380 million for enhanced border security projects in Egypt, where they know the importance of a tight border, Jordan, where they know the importance of a tight border, Lebanon, where they know the importance of a tight border, Oman and Tunisia, it goes on and on. $150 million that must also go to border security in Jordan, while it goes on to get me some of the text from the bill. Meanwhile, in both fiscal years 2022 and 2023, border agents reported over 2 million illegal immigrants were apprehended at the southern border. And just since the beginning of this fiscal year, just the beginning of this fiscal year, which was last October, already 140,000 known gotaways. And again, when you hear from people who know this, like Mark Green, Homeland Security Chairman, Congressman from the 7th Congressional District, said that the number of gotaways being recorded is underestimated by at least 20%. I believe that's true. Well, we can spend a lot of good U.S. taxpayer dollars to make sure that other parts of the world are secure, that walls are going up, and that they have tight security in Egypt, Jordan, Lebanon, Oman, and Tunisia. But we can't do that for the state of Texas. We can't do that for the state of New Mexico, Arizona. We can't do it for California. We can't do it. No, that would be wrong. Let them have secure borders, but we're wide open. Here's a story from the nationalpulse.com. Will Alejandro Mayorkas' Senate impeachment trial go anywhere? Really? I don't think probably it will, but, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't try. And I do believe he's in violation of many laws, the way he has handled his responsibilities over at Homeland Security. The impeachment is set to move to the Senate next month for the trial phase, when members of the chamber will decide whether to acquit or remove the Biden government official. This week, House Speaker Mike Johnson announced he would transmit the articles of impeachment to the upper legislative chamber. Upper left, I hate that, but anyway, side one. It's not the upper body; they're equal bodies. On April 10th, setting the stage for Mayorkas' trial to begin when the Senate returns from its Easter break. In response, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said senators will be sworn in and the trial will begin on April 11th. Well, so they're going to be a trial, but, I don't know how long it's going to take them to dispatch of it. Is it an hour? One way or the other. Will it be a real trial? The House impeachment managers who act as prosecutors will present their case to an appointed committee of senators from both parties rather than the full Senate itself. After concluding the investigation of evidence and charges, the committee members would produce a transcript of their hearings and make a recommendation to the full Senate. The trial by committee process has only been used 4 times since its inception in 1934. Once was the 1986 impeachment of U.S. District Court Judge Harry Claiborne, twice in 1989 for Judges Alcee Hastings and Walter Nixon. And see, all of these have been handled in cases involving U.S. District Court judges. And all 4 impeachment trials resulted in the removal from office. Then will there be a full trial? That depends on the recommendation made by the committee. What do you want to bet that the recommendation is going to be that they not take any action? Senators Ted Cruz and Mike Lee, on the other hand, have been meeting with Senate parliamentarian Elizabeth McDonough to head off any attempt by Senate Democrats to merely hold a majority vote to dismiss the charges against Mayorkas. In late February, the 2 conservative Republicans urged outgoing Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell to clarify the Republican leadership position and ensure a full trial is held. Several days later, the Republican leader backed holding a full trial, telling the press it would be the best way to go forward. I hope that they do indeed take this matter up. Look, folks, just to bring this whole thing full circle from the first segment and the last segment. We actually do have a very serious problem right now in that our borders are wide open, and you know what that means about the kind of human trafficking and drug trafficking and the kind of crime that comes across the border. And just set all that aside for a moment and then add to that a national security concern, a real, valid national security concern that we have somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 million people in this country that have never come in contact with any kind of law enforcement. They came across the border, they got away, they never got processed. We don't know who they are. We don't know where they went. We don't know what they're up to. But don't you imagine that the number of people out there who want to do harm to this country would see the chaos on the border and say, well, there is an opportunity for us to slip into America and start our planning. I think, folks, it's a dangerous time. And just for that reason alone, I believe Alejandro Mayorkas should be impeached. Will he be? I have very little hope that the Democrat-controlled Senate is going to take any kind of action in that regard. They should. The thing it really does from a political standpoint is it makes those people on the other side of the aisle squirm. I mean, there are a lot of people who are Democrats in the Senate, not real crazy about what's happening on the border. But if they come out and they go after Mayorkas, then it's a complete repudiation of the man they want to reelect as their president. And they know that if they do that, that they know that from a political standpoint, it really hurts the Biden administration, and they won't do it. Again, Doing the right thing says we should go in there and call this what it is. High crime and misdemeanor the way it's been handled. But they won't. And they'll find some way to finesse this, some way to, take some kind of a vote and dismiss it. They will never hold a serious trial. And that's a shame, because I think the American people in this election year should know exactly what is going on down at that border and have it brought to their attention. But it's going to make, when they have to vote one way or the other, it's going to make a lot of people uncomfortable. Because if you vote against impeachment, and then there is some kind of attack, don't you think that's going to turn into a 30-second campaign ad against you? Sure it is, and rightfully so. It should. It's a mess, folks. And again, remember, our nation's security and all the things that come with the chaos on the border is being done for crass political reasons. Crass political reasons. This president doesn't care about Homeland Security. This president doesn't care about the people who are dying in this country because of fentanyl. This president doesn't care about the violence on our street, the human trafficking, the misery and the suffering that comes with an open border situation. All he cares about, and all that the Democrats care about really, is trying to change the demographics of this country so that Democrats can win more elections. It's a power move. It's a power move. They care about the Electoral College. They care about congressional apportionment. They don't care about the other things. It's, it's just it's a byproduct of what we have to do to win. They'll win it all. They'll try to win at all cost. And this is exactly what it's all about. So we look at the situation and you ask, well, should this guy be impeached? Yes. Is there a legitimate case to be made? I think you can say there is. Will it actually happen? I'd like to think that maybe it would take place, and that the managers would have a chance to make their case before the full Senate and in front of the American people. But I have a feeling that it's not going to happen. Let's call it 50 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Hey, folks at Grace Point Healthcare, they are the standard for affordable, comprehensive, and convenient medicine. How? Well, as a direct pay provider, your health care is delivered without the red tape of an insurer's guidelines. Smart Care plans make it even more affordable. Starting at $69 a month, you get free office visits, free basic labs for the entire year. That's a deal, isn't it? Grace Point identifies and treats the root cause of a condition, not just the symptoms. They use a comprehensive, functional approach, and by seeing you the same day or the next day, you're treated at your convenience. Isn't that nice? Grace Point Healthcare is affordable, comprehensive, and convenient medicine delivered the old-fashioned way. They're located on Main Street in Franklin, 615-599-6868. Again, that's 599-6868.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.
Governor Lee joined WTN on the Matt Murphy Show and discussed metro area safety in the state of Tennessee. We are trying that shooter from yesterday during Easter still at large, and an update on the Israel-Hamas war. 4 o'clock, Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is 56 minutes now past the hour. Guys, I don't know if you had a good oyster weekend or not. Did you have a good oyster weekend?
What?
You say, what, Wilson, have you lost your mind? No. This morning, even though it's the day after, they had the Easter egg roll at the White House.
Oh, no.
And the President of the United States walked to the balcony overlooking all of the Easter egg chaos that was there on the the South Lawn. And he said the following.
Thanks, everybody. And by the way, say hello to oyster bunnies. Come on up, bunnies. Get up here so they can see.
That's right. He's not the Easter bunny. He's the oyster bunny.
Come on, get in there.
Yeah, come on, get in there.
Get in
It's
there.
a gigantic oyster bunny.
Pretty big bunny, huh?
Yeah, he's a big bunny. The oyster bunny. Oh, my goodness. I know. This is our president, ladies and gentlemen. You don't get eggs, you get pearls.
Get pearls.
That's right.
Oh, no.
We need a holiday named after a giant mollusk. That's what we need.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
Say hello to oyster bunnies.
All right, let's move on if I could and get you a look at what's going on in the markets. Hang on, there it is. Market's doing not well today. Down 240 points on the Dow. S&P was down about 11. The NASDAQ, however, was up about, let's call it 17, 18 points. To get more on what's going on and what's happening in the world of economics and finance, let's check in with John Maxon over at Beacon Capital Management. Hello, John.
Hey, good afternoon, Brian. Yeah, not a great day for the Dow. NASDAQ up a little bit of a red day overall for the market. And we kind of had this unique situation. We got the Fed's preferred inflation report on Good Friday. The market was actually closed, and that rose 0.3% in March, and that was right below or right in line with expectations. So it didn't really sway the market from expecting a Fed rate cut, which was the big fear. And then, oddly enough, manufacturing came in today. First time in over 17 months it's actually in expansion territory. So that was good. But the market taking a little bit of a slow start to the second quarter. Big jobs report coming up on Friday, so a lot of economic information, but a right in line inflation report on Friday.
All right. Thank you very much, John. Learn more about all the things that John Maxon and the good people over at Beacon Capital Management can do to help you get ready for your retirement. Just go to their website, askbeaconnow.com. 58 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock.
Hey, it's Dan Mandison. I love my Patriot Supply. It's emergency food so you can care for your family no matter what. And today, we're fixing creamy chicken-flavored rice. And the thing I love about my Patriot Supply, it's easy. You just get the water, turn on the heat, and in minutes, we are ready to go. Now, this food lasts for 25 years in special packaging, and yes, it does taste great. And in just minutes, it's ready to eat. Patriots don't rely on the government to take care of their family in emergencies. It's up to you. Order right now and get $200 off a 3-month food kit. It's important to go to preparewithmandis.com to get that great discount. That's preparewithmandis.com to get that great discount. Preparewithmandis.com. $200 off a 3-month food kit.
4:01, I'm Mac Maury with your top stories. Currently 78 degrees and monitoring a chance for severe weather coming tomorrow. The main time for that system, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. We will have you covered right here on Super Talk Traffic. A complete weather forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Right now in Tennessee, a bill has been passed in the state that will affect how police handle traffic stops. Senate Bill 2572 prohibits local governments from adopting or enacting an ordinance that prohibits law enforcement from taking all necessary steps to prevent and detect crime. Governor Lee joined WTN's The Matt Murphy Show today and discussed how this bill and what he's done to support law enforcement will help improve the safety of Tennesseans, particularly in metro areas.
When completed, our new training center will be the best one in the country. We got to support law enforcement, number one. But we've also, we put $150 million in the last couple of cycles, and those are dollars that go to locals, to they're called Violent Crime Intervention Grant Funds. They go to the Sheriff's Department, to the local police departments, for them to use to battle locally their own crime issues. We've sent strike teams in and then permanently expanded the number of highway patrol in areas and places where we have particular crime issues.
The governor said that these law enforcement members need to know that we are behind them. Staying in Tennessee, Metro Police say they've recovered the getaway vehicle from yesterday's deadly shooting at the Roasted Restaurant 2 miles away from the crime scene at 26th Avenue North and Jefferson Street. Still no sign of the man police say is the suspect, 46-year-old Anton Rucker. Rucker has a hefty criminal past and is a convicted felon who most recently was arrested on drug charges on October 31st. The man killed in the shooting, 33-year-old Alan Beecham. 5 others were also shot. They are expected to fully recover. The TBI is offering a $2,500 reward for any information leading to his arrest. In the Israel-Hamas war in Israel, the IDF says they've completed their 2-week raid at Al-Shifa Hospital in Gaza. Britt Clinette reports from Jerusalem.
Videos there showing the level of destruction is immense. 200 people were killed in that operation. That's according to the IDF. They collected intelligence documents. They also confiscated weapons. So this is something as well that's going to ignite and anger Hamas's support base inside Gaza.
And now to some entertainment news. Beyonce's debut country album is already crashing into the record books after its first weekend of release. Here's Jason Nathanson.
Cowboy Carter is a streaming sensation. Since Beyonce's country music album was released last Friday, it became the most streamed album in a single day so far this year on Spotify, and the only country album to hold that title in 2024. Amazon Music says Cowboy Carter had the most first-day streams for a country album by a female artist ever. Over on Apple Music, it's the #1 album right now, and that's just the past few days. Next week, we'll get the Billboard chart numbers, which are sure to be big as well.
And that is the latest news. Traffic and weather on the way. I'm Mac Maury, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandison. I love my Patriot Supply. It's emergency food so you can care for your family no matter what. And today, we're fixing creamy chicken-flavored rice. And the thing I love about my Patriot Supply, it's easy. You just get the water, turn on the heat, and in minutes, we are ready to go. Now, this food lasts for 25 years in special packaging, and yes, it does taste great. And in just minutes, it's ready to eat. Patriots don't rely on the government to take care of their family in emergencies. It's up to you. Order right now and get $200 off a 3-month food kit. It's important to go to preparewithmandis.com to get that great discount. That's preparewithmandis.com to get that great discount. Preparewithmandis.com. $200 off a 3-month food kit.
It's 8 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock. Welcome to hour number 2 of The Drive. I'm Brian Wilson on this pretty nice day. We got, 78 degrees outside here in bucolic, Watertown. It's bucolic. It's really becoming bucolic now with all the leaves starting to bud out, everything turning green. And even the Bradford pears, I must say, are beautiful. They are. No, they're beautiful. They're coming down, but they're beautiful.
Well, all right.
You know, again, it was the Easter weekend, and it's the most important day on the Christian calendar. It really is. I mean, Christmas is big, but I mean, isn't it really all about Easter? It really should be if you're a practicing Christian. You believe very, very deeply that Easter is the highest of all the holy days. So you would expect that, that would be respect for that. Given that we are a nation that is largely guided by Christian principles, and a lot of people claim to be followers of Christ. But no, the Biden administration decided that March 31st, though it was Easter, should be celebrated as the Transgender Day of Visibility. Some people in the transgender movement call it the Transgender Day of Vengeance, but, that sounds sort of rough, so they changed it to the Transgender Day of Visibility. And the president was very quick on Sunday, Easter Sunday, putting out this on X. On Transgender Day of Visibility, we celebrate the joy, strength, and absolute courage of some of the bravest people I know. Today, we show millions of transgender, non-binary Americans that we see them, they belong, and they should be treated with dignity and respect. He didn't write that, I know. Somebody else wrote it for him, but it's out under his name. The Post also showed a graphic that showed the logo for Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris's re-election campaign over a background that incorporated the colors of the transgender flag, along with the message, trans rights are human rights. The White House also posted on their website independently, transgender Americans are part of the fabric of our nation. On Transgender Day of Visibility, our administration honors the extraordinary courage of transgender Americans and reaffirms our commitment to forming a more perfect union, where all people are treated equally. Over at the State Department, Secretary of State Anthony Blinken released a press release saying that the Transgender Day of Visibility is a celebration of the courage and resilience of transgender, non-binary, and gender non-conforming persons who exist in every country and culture around the world. But of course, for many people who are Christians, this was an affront. This was not the right thing to be doing on Easter Sunday. If you want to do it, okay, fine. But why on Easter Sunday when, so many of the Christian Americans would have, take umbrage with what the White House has said. At the White House briefing room today, Karine Jean-Pierre, shocked, stunned, and amazed that anybody would raise something like that. Of course, I just want to point out it is relevant in this particular case. She is gay, not transgendered, but gay and out. So I'm not telling you anything that people don't already know. But she is just baffled can't see why anybody would take umbrage with what the White House had done.
Really, so surprised by the misinformation that's been out there around this. And I want to be very clear. Every year for the past several years, on March 31st, Transgender Day of Visibility is marked. And as we know, for folks who understand the calendar and how it works, Easter falls on different Sundays, right? Every year. And this year it happened to coincide with Transgender Visibility Day. And so that is the simple fact. That is what has happened. That is where we are. And I do want to say a couple of things because I think it's important here. As you just stated in your questions, what we've been hearing out there, a lot of misinformation done on purpose. And as a Christian who celebrates Easter with family, President Biden stands for bringing people together and upholding the dignity and freedoms of every American. Now, sadly, and it's not surprising, right? It is actually unsurprising that politicians are seeking to divide and weaken our country with cruel, hateful, and dishonest rhetoric. It is dishonest what we have heard the past 24 hours. It is untrue what we heard over the weekend.
Well, you didn't have to say anything at all. There's nothing that makes you have to say something. And if you wanted to do it the day after, make some reference to it, that's your business. I just think that it was pretty deadgum obtuse of them to not realize that this would be an affront to so many Americans. But one way or the other, that's what they did. They can't walk away from what they did, and a lot of people just think it was just not the appropriate thing to do on the highest of holy days for American Christians. By the way, we had our own little thing that is sort of an affront to Christianity that occurred right here in our area over the weekend. This whole thing at Mount Juliet at the Global Vision Bible Church. Have you heard about it? Where a trailer, a little, I think it's about 8 or 10 foot trailer, was pulled up into the intersection in front of the church, and it was filled with Bibles, and a man stopped in the intersection and set them on fire. That according to what we know now. Around 6 a.m. on Sunday, the Mount Juliet Police Department and Fire Department swiftly responded to a trailer fire located at an intersection that was blocking the entrance to Global Vision Church. Church's pastor, Greg Locke, said in a statement posted on Facebook that the church's security cameras were able to capture a man reportedly dropping off the trailer before setting it ablaze. And there was apparently a witness to it as well in the parking lot. The Wilson County Sheriff's Office issued a statement saying they believe the fire was set intentionally. Hundreds took to the social media to show their support for the church that was able to proceed without having Easter services interrupted. Thank goodness for that. Well, but just hold on a minute. Can you imagine the hue and cry and the outrage that we would hear nationwide, worldwide? Oh, and I'm telling you, the big banner headlines. If somebody had pulled up in front of the Islamic Center of Nashville and set a bunch of Quran on fire. Can you imagine the hue and cry? What would be the first thing somebody would say? Hate crime. It's a hate crime. I mean, could you imagine that if something happened, and God forbid, I hope it never happens, but it does happen from time to time, if somebody defaced a synagogue in our area, there would be a hue and cry. What a hate crime this is. Where is the designation of this as a hate crime? It's clearly a hate crime. Why is it that the FBI, well, maybe they are, but I don't see any references to it. Why isn't the FBI investigating this, trying to find out who conducted this heinous act? I don't understand the double standard here, because if it was the other way that would happen. The FBI would be there in 20 minutes. They would be beginning an investigation, and they would throw the worldwide resources of the Federal Bureau of Investigation into that because it's a hate crime. Where is all of the outrage over something happening like this where they burned a trailer full of Bibles in front of a church? It is absolutely a hate crime. And, a few people went, tisk, oh, that's sad. That really shouldn't happen. Okay, I agree. But I want to know why it's not being more heavily investigated. I'd like to know who owned that trailer. I'd like to know who did that. Let's track that person down. Find if we can charge them with a hate crime. Not just arson? No? Or whatever. I don't know. What is it? Setting a fire? That is arson, I suppose. But no, I mean, it should be investigated and prosecuted as a hate crime. But I don't know. It doesn't look like it's going to happen. There were, by the way, going back to the thing that the White House was talking about, the Transgender Day of Visibility. There were a lot of people who were voicing their concern. Among them, Marsha Blackburn.
I think everyone should be insulted by this, the intentional nature of this. Easter is a religious holiday. It is such a sacred day where we all meet at the cross.
There you go. A group of Tennessee lawmakers, according to the Tennessee Star, condemned President Joe Biden for proclaiming March 31st as Transgender Day of Visibility, saying the president's proclamation is satanic and patently Marxist declaration and a direct assault on Christianity. Let's see. U.S. Representative Diana Harshbarger said the proclamation is a direct assault on Christianity, adding it's evident the left is determined to undermine our religion and our traditions. This isn't blatant disregard, it's intentional. Tennessee State Representative and House Republican Caucus Chairman Jeremy Faison also condemned the president's proclamation on X. I would hope our self-proclaiming Christian president would be most interested in celebrating the most holy of Christian holidays. However, this pagan nationalist president chose to be an instigator and used the very day that we celebrate our risen Savior as a day to celebrate controversial gender ideology. Again, no, they seem to be like complete, this is the thing that's amazing. I mean, if you're going to make a decision like that, seems like you would run through the calculated risk and reaction. And one of two things is true. Either they calculated that there would be a reaction and that people would be angry and people would be screaming and hollering and criticizing the administration, and then you decided to say, okay, but we're still going to do it anyway. Or the alternative is it never occurred to them that March 31st was the wrong day to be doing these kinds of things. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. As long as we're doing things that have sort of a woke element to them, there is this. The Biden administration threw billions at EV charging stations. That's right, billions, $7.5 billion to subsidize the installation of thousands of EV chargers to help the administration's goal of having EVs constitute 50% of all new cars sold. But only, are you ready for this? Only 7 stations in total have been built. $7.5 billion, and they put up 7. 4 states, according to the Washington Post. The slow rollout is unfolding as the Biden administration has recently issued stringent emission standards for light, medium, and heavy-duty vehicles that will result in a significant increase of EV sales. They hope. I don't think it will. I think. You know what I think is going to happen? I think there's a lot of people out there. If it turns to an all-electric, all-electric cars are the only thing you can get. There's a lot of people who are going to take that F-150 and drive it right into the dirt.
Might be a good time to become a car mechanic.
Yeah, no kidding.
Mm-hmm.
Remember how Cuba, when they banned the import of cars, American cars into Cuba, how they still have cars from the 1950s that are on the road. They got very good at rebuilding them and rebuilding them and rebuilding them and somehow keeping them going for years and years and years. You're right. It'd be a good thing to get into because I have a feeling a lot of people are never going to give up their gas cars. I know this is the last vehicle that I will own, and I'll drive this thing until it drops. My F-150 is going to be driven until it can't be driven anymore. I'm hoping 400,000 miles, actually.
Well, best of luck.
I know. I saw a thing on Twitter where somebody drove a car for 300,000 miles and traded it in, and they showed a picture of it. The thing looked like it just walked off the showroom floor.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, that somebody really took care of that vehicle. 21 past the hour now, 4 o'clock. Tax day is right around the corner, and the folks over at Beacon Capital Management know that after tax day, you may have some documents laying around that you need to get rid of. Well, April 20th from 8 to 11 a.m., join the folks over at Beacon Capital Management in their parking lot. Just bring anything you need to their office in Franklin parking lot, and they will shred it for you right there in front of you. They have a big old shredding machine. You can watch it go in and turn into little tiny pieces of paper that nobody could ever put back together. If you've learned anything by now over the last few years, that you can expect change. And for those nearing retirement, change can feel scary. If you're worried about how things like inflation and interest rates will affect your retirement nest egg, use Beacon Capital Management's free retirement savings calculator. It's free, super fast, and you'll get your results right away. And when you look at them and you realize, oh, my goodness, I'm a little bit behind here. Well, why don't you give them a call for a deeper dive, see what they can suggest for you to get you back on the pathway. That's right. Here's the number, 615-488-9303. At the end of the process, you'll be able to rest easy knowing that you have a plan that meets all your retirement goals. 615-488-9303. Learn more at askbeaconnow.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
A small channel under collapsed Francis Scott Key Bridge has been opened. We'll tell you what that means for the port as a whole. Plus some money news, 4:30, Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
26 past the hour, 4 o'clock. McElmore will be here with the news in just a few moments. Chris Webber in the control room. I'm Brian Wilson. You're listening to The Drive on this first day of April. Don't try to pull any kind of tricks on us because we're wise to you. We're watching for you.
Maybe that's what the Oyster Bunny was about. He was just doing an April Fool's prank, right?
I think he seemed oblivious to the fact he even said it.
Say hello to oyster bunnies. Come on.
I mean, come on. Who doesn't want to see what the Oyster Bunny looks like?
Say hello to oyster bunnies. Come on up, bunnies.
That's right.
Come on, get in there.
Get in there.
Pretty big bunny, huh?
April Fools. It's not an Oyster Bunny. I don't know. I don't know.
Just a joke. Come on, guys.
All right. Time for our 2024 update. At a time when Donald Trump is cutting into Biden's 2020 advantage with young adults, the growing list of grievances among those between the ages of 18 to 29 is a very bad sign for Joe Biden as he seeks another term. This, according to Bloomberg, doing an analysis of where we are with young voters. The concern is being reflected in polls. Trump is currently leading the president 47 to 40%, 47 to 40, with voters 18 to 34 in swing states. That is huge. I mean, We know that the sitting president, Joe Biden, is losing black voters at an unprecedented rate. He's losing Hispanic voters at an unprecedented rate. And now here's another area of concern for the Democrats. Young people who traditionally vote very much to the left are now saying that they like the idea of President Trump again. This is 18 to 34-year voters in swing states. Trump is leading the president 47 to 40, 7-point advantage. This could all change. That's why, by the way, that's exactly why the current president is doing everything he can to pay off student loan debt. He's trying to buy back those votes. Incumbents get the blame when voters are dissatisfied with the economy. The challenge for Biden is that even though economic growth has been growing in the past year, the market is robust and inflation rate is cooling. Polls after polls show many people just don't feel it. You know why? Because their wages didn't keep up with the rate of inflation. They're behind, and it's going to take a long time for them to catch up. Here it is. Biden's plan to forgive billions of dollars in student debt was struck down last year by the Supreme Court, but he continued to do it, finding ways to work around the Supreme Court, doing everything he can to get young people back into the fold. By the way, one other story here from Breitbart. Majority are worse off financially under Joe Biden. That question has been asked. Are you worse off than you were, let's say, when the president was inaugurated? And that has gone up dramatically. In 2021, it wasn't all that bad. But since then, the number of people are saying that they are worse off under Joe Biden has gone up 25 points since 2021. Better off, 22%. Worse off, 52%. I'm telling you, it's a big number. And it suggests that, if people are indeed, as they say, concerned about the economy and their own personal well-being and the finances of their family, it's on their mind all the time, Joe Biden is not going to get a great deal of credit for the things that have happened. And again, people's minds, I think, in this particular election cycle are being made up earlier than they normally would. Because why? Well, because we know both of these people. We know Joe Biden. We know what he is. We know Donald Trump. We know what he is. No secrets there. You know what you're getting. And I think a lot of people have already made their mind up knowing what they know about these two candidates. Nothing much more to learn. So I think a lot of these positions we're seeing now, will they change? Possibly. But you know what? They may not change because people have pretty much made up their mind. You pretty much know where you are on Donald Trump, don't you? You either love him or you don't. And I don't think that's likely to change dramatically between now and November. It's 31 minutes now past the hour time for the news.
.431, I'm Mac Morey with your top stories. Currently 79 degrees with clouds on Music Row. We got a forecast and a traffic report just ahead. Crews have reopened a small channel under the collapsed Maryland Key Bridge, but that doesn't mean they can reopen the Port of Baltimore soon. Andy Field with the latest.
Maryland Governor Wes Moore explaining why this bridge collapse could take weeks or months to clear.
This is a steel bridge that is sitting on top of a container ship.
And
we are talking about tons of steel that is mangled and cantilevered.
And the bridge debris is in water so murky, divers say they can only see a few feet in any direction.
And now over to some money news. Daria Albinger lets us know how Wall Street started this week.
Stocks closed mostly lower to start the month of April. The Dow plunged 241 points. The S&P closed down 11, while the Nasdaq rose 17. It was the first day of trading after a report which showed inflation is pretty much where the experts thought it would be. UPS says it's reached a new deal with the U.S. Postal Service, which will make it the primary carrier of air cargo for the USPS. Back in September, Hyundai and Kia recalled almost 3.5 million vehicles in the U.S. and warned owners to park the cars and the SUVs outdoors and away from buildings because they could catch fire even if the engines turned off. 6 months later, the companies say most of those autos are still on the road, unrepaired. 20 years ago, Google rolled out Gmail. At the time, a lot of us thought it was an over-the-top April Fool's joke. As it turns out, that joke was on us.
And that is the latest news, traffic and weather on the way. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Listen, if you need to think about a mower for your house right now, I mean, I know, I got to tell you, I had a great experience with my mower. I bought it at DT McCallen Sons. It's a Cub Cadet. It's a zero turn. I can cut 60 inches at a swath. I can do my entire 2 acres in about 45 minutes. It's my favorite thing to do because it's such a cool piece of equipment. And if you're looking for something to, help mow your yard, get your yard under control, you're going to have to, go down to DT McCall and see all the stuff they got in the lot. It's that time of year. Spring is here. That old mower about to give up. Why don't you do something that you're really going to really enjoy? Go out and get you a good mower down at DT McCall's. Cub Cadet, all kinds of different things they sell there. And by the way, they have a place there where they can do maintenance. It's hard to find a place like that. DT McCall's the place you go for furniture, for appliances. You need a big TV, they got them. You need a bedroom suite, they got it. You need furniture for your house, they've got it. 5 convenient locations. And find out more about all the things they can do for your home. And check out those mowers over at dtmccalls.com.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.
It is 38 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. If you were with us earlier in the day, you may have heard Matt Murphy do his interview with Governor Bill Lee, who is still pushing hard and has great hopes for his universal school approach. He wants to make sure that parents have the opportunity to go in and make a decision about what's right for their kid. Maybe it's to stay with the public school, but to have an option. And to have money available to pay for things like tuition and books or homeschooling or whatever it is. Universal school choice is what he's seeking right now. The state legislature is in the middle of considering that. And Matt Murphy just wanted to find out from the governor exactly where he stands and how he feels about all this and how he answers the criticism that some have leveled at his proposal.
Actually, what I think this situation brings up most of all is a fear of the unknown and a fear of changing the status quo. People don't like change. We've had the same approach to education in this country for decades. We've had the same schools, the same approach, more money, more focus on, but structurally things have really not changed. There's been no challenge to the status quo in decades, and our outcomes have gone downhill. So if you're not continuously improving and continuously changing and constantly challenging the status quo, most of these critics, they want to just keep doing the same thing. They want to put more money into the status quo system, and I just think that's a big mistake. And frankly, I think America's woken up to it. It's a bit of a revolution. You have state after state after state passing universal school choice initiatives. It's unfortunate to me that Tennessee hadn't done it yet because our kids are getting behind every month that we don't pass it. But I think the status quo has to be challenged.
Boy, do I agree with that. I mean, it is hard for many people who have been doing things the same way, and they're used to that system, and they look at that system and they think, well, that's the way things work. That's the way of the world. To reimagine education in such a dramatic way. And so, yeah, I know, like in Wilson County, the school board officially was against it. They're against the idea. And I go, well, hold on a minute. Are you setting the world on fire? But here's the thing, and it's very true. You don't have to make a choice between school choice and public schools. You can support both and let the parents have the power. This is all about putting power in the hands of the parents. Here's more.
I'm a limited government guy. Like, less government's better. The goal here is to put more power in the hands of parents, not the government. When our children are all going to government-run schools, the power is in the government's hands with regard to where our children are educated, what they learn, and how they learn it. This is not about getting government into private education. This is about getting the power out of the hands of the government and getting it into the hands of parents. As far as public schools go, this idea that you have to choose choice or public schools it's a false narrative. Like, you don't have to do that. You can be committed to having the best public school systems in the country and provide parents more choices at the same time. We can do both of those things. There's no reason why we can't do that. We put $2 billion into our public school system since I came into office, vastly more than has been put in previous years. We've got the largest teacher pay raise in state history. We revamped our funding formula for the first time in 30 years to make it modernized and suit school districts better. We have been consistently focused, and by the way, you've seen our most recent budget, which has hundreds of millions of dollars once again focused into what we call TISA, which is the funding formula for public schools. We can do both. And what happens is people that don't want to give parents the ability and the power will use the critique that this is to destroy public schools when in fact it's just the opposite.
He makes a very strong case. I find myself in 1,000% agreement with the governor on this. Oh, I know there's been some squabbling back and forth, and there's a lot of little ancillary stories to this whole thing. But really, let's focus on what's important here, and that is the education of our young people. And there really are school districts in which they are not getting the job done. Why should we just continue throwing good money after bad? Why should you let your kid go to a school that's been doing things the same way, doesn't seem willing to change, and they're not teaching your kid how to read and write and to function in society when school is done, to go on to college if that's their desire, go to the workforce and find a good career? I mean, I'm telling you, if it's not preparing kids for that, then we ought to do something that works. Going down the path of least resistance is to do nothing and just rock along. Don't make any changes. Don't ruffle the feathers. Don't make any kind of desirous change. I think the governor is bold for doing this. And yes, there are going to be those who look at it and say, well, it's different. It's hard. We don't like it. We've never seen anything like it. What does this mean for me? Oh, and they whine and they moan. Listen, it doesn't mean anything. If you like your kid's public school, your kid can still go to that public school. Doesn't change. If you don't like your kid's public school and you feel like they're not learning how to read, they're not learning how to do math, you really feel like it's not a great place for learning, a great environment for learning, now you have the option. And again, he's right. We're putting the power where it needs to be, in the hands of the parents so they can make good decisions about what's right for their kid and for their family. I like the idea. I love the idea of flexing. And giving, continuing to support public education. We're not taking $1 out of public education. But we are making available money if public education ain't getting it done for you. And you know what? The competition will be good. The competition will be good. Nothing in this world gets better without competition. So now there's a House bill and you got a Senate bill, and they're sort of very different. A lot of differences in them, and the discussion is, well, can we come together and have a conference and work it all out? I've seen some reporting today that said maybe that'll happen, maybe it won't. Maybe some people are not anxious to have a conference. They want it their way or the highway. That's usually the Senate, not the House. But one way or the other, Governor Lee believes that at the end of the day, this will all get worked out. It's often, like this when you're in the process of doing something radically different. He believes that he has some confidence that eventually a bill will emerge that he can sign.
How confident are you that these two things are going to be married, and how involved are you, or are you willing to get in that process?
Well, number one, I'm confident that the Senate and the House both want to give expanded choice to parents. And because of that, I'm confident that they'll find a way forward, kind of like they generally do on issues where the bills are a little different on the House side than the Senate side. That's not unusual. It happens all the time, and there's negotiation, and there's willingness to come together and talk about that. That's exactly what's happening now. I have a really good relationship, as you know, with Speaker Sexton. I have a really good relationship with Lieutenant Governor McNally and with Leader Johnson and with Leader Lamberth, and we have meetings every week. We have multiple meetings every week around a lot of issues, around a lot of initiatives and bills that are important. This one in particular right now. So I'm confident. I think I understand the process. There is a process. There's a willingness. Members from the House and Senate are meeting together. I know that to be the case. And I feel confident this thing's going to work out.
Well, I think it will. I think it will. Look, folks, in the grand scheme of things, there's a lot of noise and clutter and smoke and a bunch of screaming and hollering and wailing and gnashings of teeth, sound and fury that really should not amount to much. Oh, I know, yes, the phone conversations that were recorded and was that done legally? Sideshow. Doesn't matter. In the grand scheme of things, what really matters is what we do for the children of this state. We are not getting our kids educated to the level they need to be educated. We are behind. We have an obligation, I think, to do better by our children. And if something's not working, and I know there are public schools that work just great, not talking about you, but there are an awful lot of public schools that aren't getting the job done. For one reason or another, they just can't teach the kids. And I don't know what it is, but they're not able to get the kids taught to do the things they need to know. Reading and math scores are horrific in this state. We need to focus, put aside the clutter, put aside all the noise, put aside, all of the wrangling and the gnashing of teeth and the wailing and just think about the kids. That's what education is ultimately all about. It's about the children of this state and the future of this state. It is true. The governor is correct when he says some people just don't want to change and they just want to keep on doing the same thing day after day after day. But it's not working. If you're not willing to think in radical ways about reinventing the wheel to give kids a better chance, that you just want to keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over and still getting the same results, which are not good. I don't think people in this state think enough about the fact that we have schools that are so far behind the rest of the nation and the rest of the world. We can do better. And at the very least, let's give this a try. It's different. Maybe it'll work. Maybe it won't work. We'll find out. But, to do the same thing and expect that we're going to get some great results by doing exactly the same thing that we've done time and time again for years and years and years, time in memoriam, hasn't changed. The basic process hasn't changed, but right now it's not working. And we deserve to give, our parents deserve, and our children deserve the right to find another pathway to education that will work for them. I'm 1,000% with this, and I hope that all the noise in the state legislature, let's just stop for a moment and remember when we're having a conversation about kids and we talk about education, it's about kids. It's about our children. Let's make sure we do the right thing for the kids and just put all the other noise aside, okay? 50 minutes now past the hour. We're going to have some rain, and we've been having some rain not too long ago. It was raining pretty good, and you may find in this time of year that you have some waterproofing issues in your home. You have standing water in the crawl space, wet basement walls, musty odors on floor joists with wood rot. What about cracks in basement floors or hardwood floors that are cupping? You see, all of these are signs that your house is trying to tell you something, and you've got a water problem. You got too much moisture. Why don't you call the folks at United Structural Systems? They've been here in Middle Tennessee since 1994 and have more than 25,000 satisfied customers. You could be the next one. It's pretty easy. They come out to your house, they tell you what's going on, they give you their assessment, and they say if you want to go forward with this, we'll get busy, but you don't have to pay a penny until the job is done, and you're completely satisfied. That's right. And they do all kinds of stuff, of course, structural stuff, concrete lifting. They can take care of all kinds of stuff. But, if you got a water problem, man, I'm telling you, you need to get on it. Just go to USSTN.com. That's USSTN.com. Or you can just give them a call. You're gonna really enjoy doing business with these remarkable people at USS. 615-488-7855.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
You know, one of the things I love most about Genesis Diamonds is the laid-back feel, the vibe, the relaxed feeling you get when you walk in. There are no commissioned salespeople at Genesis, never. 1 ounce of pressure or intimidation, you'll never be bothered with that kind of stuff. If you are a diamond expert or if you don't know anything about diamonds, they will make you feel at home and at ease. And you can see a wide array of GIA-certified diamonds, all in your price range, every shape. Or if you're looking for a lab-grown diamond, Genesis has those as well at prices well below what others sell them for. When it comes to the ring, well, Genesis has the ring designers that other stores can't even begin to touch. All the top brands from trusted, renowned designers like Tacori and Viraggio. Plus, free service for life on any purchase, designer jewelers that you can't find at any other store, a 110% diamond upgrade guarantee, an incredible selection of pristine luxury pre-owned Rolexes. For your special occasion coming up, get the most value, the highest quality, the best overall experience at Genesis Diamonds. 2 locations, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
It is 5 o'clock. I'm Mac Maury with your top stories right now. 79 degrees, and it's been a cloudy, overcast day. We got some possibilities for showers and thunderstorms tonight, but really looking at the possibilities for severe weather tomorrow. That risk has now gone up, a level 3 out of 5, and the greatest risk for tornadoes will be from Middle Tennessee to Central Kentucky. And the timeline for that whole storm system, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. We'll have you covered right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Traffic report, complete weather forecast coming to you in 5 minutes. Crime right now in Tennessee. A man was shot in the parking lot of a Food Lion grocery store in Donaldson. This happened at around 3:45 this afternoon. The masked gunman is now being searched for by officials. The suspect is about 6'2" in his 20s and is wearing a black hoodie, gray jeans, and a ski mask. He allegedly approached the victim and tried to rob him. The victim's condition unknown at this time. In the nation's capital, House Speaker Mike Johnson coming to his own defense after Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene filed a motion to vacate his speakership. As Johnson faces the heat from his own party, he's signaling movement on the Ukraine aid bill when the House returns from the recess next week. Rachel Blade.
This pressure from GOP defense hawks, people like Mike Turner, who lead the Intelligence Committee, saying, look, our own national security is at risk and you have to do something now to help Ukraine. He wants to change this proposal that passed the Senate to give Ukraine $60 billion. He wants to make some of it a loan. He wants to basically unlock frozen Russian assets and send some of that to Ukraine. And then he has a couple of sort of energy demands. And so what he's trying to do here is sort of move the Ukraine proposal a little bit to the right, but not so much that he's going to alienate Democrats.
Back here in Tennessee, Metro Police say they've recovered the getaway vehicle from yesterday's deadly shooting at the Roasted Restaurant 2 miles away from the crime scene at 26th Avenue North and Jefferson Street. Still no sign of the man police say is the suspect, 46-year-old Anton Rucker. Rucker has a hefty criminal past, is a convicted felon. Most recently was arrested on drug charges on October 31st. And the man killed in the shooting, 33-year-old Alan Beecham. 5 others were shot. They are expected to fully recover. Now the TBI offering a $2,500 reward for information leading to his arrest. And the Florida Supreme Court has decided to uphold the state's 15-week abortion ban, saying that the state's constitution does not protect abortion rights. Ike Ajaji is in Washington with more.
The court's decision now allows for Florida's 6-week ban, which is exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother, to take effect in 30 days. The 6-week ban was passed last year and signed into law by Governor Ron DeSantis, but was on hold as the 15-week abortion ban was caught up in litigation. In a separate ruling, the state's Supreme Court decided to allow a ballot initiative in the upcoming November election that would enshrine abortion rights in the state's constitution. Voters will ultimately decide the future of abortion access in the state.
And that is the latest news, traffic, and weather on the way. I'm Mac Maury, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
It is 7 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock on this April Fool's Day. Did you get tricked today? I hope you didn't. That's just mean. Play tricks on people. I would never do that to my audience.
No, of course not.
No, I do. I forget sometimes that it's April Fool's. That's why, you always they always tell you in the news business, be very sharp on April Fool's, because you get dragged into things and react, and then you realize it's not real. It happens. It really happens. It happens all the time. People really love to pull one on the press corps. And so far I haven't heard anything like that. The things that we're talking about are something that we ought to, I think, really, this is no joke. This is not a trick. I'm not trying to pull your leg, no April Fools. We are looking at some pretty rough weather in Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky potentially tomorrow. They should start about late morning in our area and continue all the way through the evening. And they say that severe storms are likely. The Storm Prediction Center has put the majority of Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky in an enhanced risk. That's 3 out of 5. However, even early Tuesday morning, there could be a few strong storms north and west of Nashville where there is a marginal risk. So, we just need to be weather aware tomorrow, because when they send up these flares, sometimes turns out to be not much to worry about. Sometimes it's a lot to worry about. And we are entering that time of season. So here's what I would say to you. Just, stay close to your radio. Be weather aware. Keep your head on a swivel. Know what's going on around you. Don't let something sneak up on you. Leave your radio on. Get some batteries for your portable radio. How many of you out there, raise your hand. I mean, keep one hand on the steering wheel, but raise the other hand, and do you have a portable radio? See, I know. Do you have a way to listen to, Super Talk 99.7? If you lose power, or something happens. I don't know. All I'm saying is, be ready.
I think the good news, if you want to say good news, I use air quotes and say it loosely, but it's looking like the timeline is during the afternoon tomorrow. So
yeah,
that's a good. At least it's daylight out. People will be more aware of what's going on, and won't be people sleeping like in the middle of the night like we've had before.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, so be very, very weather aware tomorrow. We'll be right here to get you through it. If things are starting to happen and while we're on the air, you can count on us being. We'll stop everything we're doing and keep you apprised of what's happening with regard to the weather. In times like this, it's sort of an agreement we have with all the talent on this station, and I use talent loosely. Talent in the professional sense of the word.
Very loosely.
Yeah, I know. Is that we all sort of crash the boards. It's sort of like, we all come in, we all have the ability to get on the air from home. We all have the ability to broadcast in very quick order when there's something breaking. And so you can count on us. We'll be all over it. All right. Here's something else that I think is a real and valid concern. I'm very worried that the United States could have a ISIS-level attack like we saw the other day in Moscow. Now, in that particular case, there's about almost 140 people that were killed. A lot of people were injured. They blew up parts of the building. They set the building on fire. 3-4 people. I think it was, I've heard reports, 3 or 4 people. I don't know which it was, but it wasn't many. And it was ISIS-K. ISIS-K had been worn down to a nub. They were really non-existent during the Trump years. And then we decided that we were going to, because Joe Biden, believe me, when you study this, when the history books of this administration are written, they're going to talk a lot about the fact that Joe Biden thought it was the right thing to do to get out of Afghanistan. It was a belief that he held even way back when Obama decided, no, we're going to stay there. He lobbied against it. He made his case. So this is all we know that because we've got the evidence. Behind the scenes, he was telling them, no, you need to get out of Afghanistan. Don't get tied up. Don't commit resources there. Let's get out. Well, we got out. It's the first thing he did, man. He couldn't wait to pull the plug on Afghanistan. It turned out to be a horrible disaster for national security and national foreign affairs policy because, we got our butts kicked on the way out the door by the Taliban. We looked pretty bad in that moment. The world leaders noted it, and that's why I think we see adventurism on the part of Putin going into Ukraine. That's why we see adventurism among the Chinese now the other day they had the entire island of Taiwan during mission training. They had them surrounded. It's just, they're just waiting for the time. You never know when one of these drills is going to turn out to be the real thing, and Taiwan is going to be invaded by China. Why? Because they saw that President Biden was weak when it came to foreign policy. If the Taliban can roll them, we can too. And so we get out of Afghanistan and we leave in that country a vacuum. And in very short order, ISIS, which was nothing, reconstitutes itself and becomes, once again, a terrorist organization with desires to carry out attacks against its enemies. They got a lot of enemies. They don't like. There's a lot of people they don't like. They don't like the Russians. I think they don't think much of Iran. They don't like us at all. We're the evil Satan as far as they're concerned. So they want to carry out what they did in Moscow, and they want to do something big and splashy. And here's the thing: we gave them a perfect way to slide their assets into this country unnoticed. Another policy of the Biden administration is open up the borders, let people come through. We're not going to enforce border law. We are just going to, give you a piece of paper and we'll see you in 7 years. If you see them at all. All kinds of people coming across the border. And look, ostensibly, we have people who are there to vet these folks when they come across the border. And in doing so, we have found a great number of people who were on the terrorist watch list who got caught coming into this country. There's just one problem. We don't engage with everybody who slips into this country illegally at all. I'm going to tell you the number that is widely quoted is 1.8 million people have come into this country, and they are the known gotaways. People that we saw them on cameras from a distance, or our sensors picked them up. We saw them at a distance, but we couldn't get to them. That is also reported. And 1.8 million people who came into this country who never had contact with law enforcement, slipped the border, slipped in under lax security, took advantage of the chaos on the border, came across, made their way to it. We don't know where they are. We don't know what they're up to. We don't have any knowledge about these people at all. 1.8 million people. Do you think out of 1.8 million people, there might be a few of them who want to do harm to the United States? If you were an organization that wanted to hurt America, would you not take advantage of the chaos on the border to slide your people into the country unnoticed? And by the way, 1.8 million isn't really the accurate number. Everybody tends to agree that 1.8 million people are the known gotaways, people we know got in, but they believe that the actual number of gotaways is about 20% higher. So let's go 2 million. 2 million people in this country we don't know anything about. We don't know where they are. Where did they go? What are they up to? Who are they loyal to? What kind of trouble are they trying to make? Folks, if you don't see this coming, you're not paying attention. And what's so maddening about it is that all of this is being done for political purposes. The Democrats want to bring in a bunch of people who will one day become voters that they think will vote for them. They want to shove a lot of people into states where, quite frankly, they were losing population. And then they set it up so that in the census, we count the people who are here illegally alongside the people who were born and raised here and are here legally. That's right. We're going to count them all, and then that's how we decide things important like congressional apportionment. Things like, electoral votes that the state has. That's all determined by population and the census count, which Biden has insisted will include a count of those who are illegally. So they did this all of it was done with the idea that they wanted to secure power long term. They wanted to make it hard for Republicans to win for many, many, many years. It was political. It was about political power. Forget about the fentanyl. Forget about the human suffering, the human trafficking. Forget about all that. Forget about the security risk that you run when you have a wide open border and people are overwhelmed. Forget about all that. They wanted it's a real raw power move is all it ever was. And they don't care about the other. They don't care about the potentially people who've come to this country to do us harm. From the post-millennial, a U.S. counterterrorism official warned that the ISIS-K terrorist organization could exploit the lack of security on the southern border to enter the country undetected to conduct an attack. The official, speaking on condition of anonymity, told the New York Post, an attack on U.S. soil is definitely a possibility. It would certainly send a message. We are taking the threat of domestic ISIS-K attack very seriously. They hate us and everything we stand for, and they're bold, and they're always looking for targets. The Russia attack was a success for them, so they're going to look for something bigger. A former U.S. Army captain and Blackwater contractor Morgan Lorette told the Post, the open border is a huge concern for terrorists entering the U.S. in light of the attacks in Moscow. It's only going to take a few of them to get armed and attack a large event, such as a concert, a baseball game, Times Square. That will bring attention to and bring terrorism to U.S. soil. Senator Tom Cotton, who sits on the Senate Intelligence Committee, said he was very worried about an attack from ISIS-K on U.S. soil. You don't even have to sit on the Intelligence Committee and have classified intelligence. You can just look at what the commanding general of our force in the Middle East said. He said that in as little as 6 months, you could have an attack like what we saw in Russia. A deadly attack in Moscow on March 22, 24 exposed the vulnerability of the Russian capital to the threat of the Islamic State group and its affiliate ISIS-K, but also displayed the reach of the network, leading some terror experts to ponder, could a U.S. city be next? There's not been a mass casualty event since 2017. But 5 years after the Islamic State's territorial defeat in Syria, now there are reorganized forces with a desire to make a mark on the people they hate. And who do they hate more than Americans? Nobody. They hate us. Sorry. Marco Rubio's been talking about this. He's right. Chairman of the Senate Intelligence, well, he's the ranking member of the Senate Intelligence Committee, and a serious guy. He's been talking about it, with Christopher Wray, the FBI director, sending up the flares. Folks, we are sitting ducks, and we let this happen on our watch. And God forbid, I pray each day it doesn't happen, that somehow all of the people we have in this country who are doing counterterrorism work will always be lucky and always catch them. But, I mean, there's no telling how many there are. Out of that 1.8, let's call it 2 million people. We just don't know. We don't know where they are. We don't know who they are. We're pretty sure there's some bad ones in there, and we should be very, very concerned. 20 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock. Hey, when was the last time you were at an auto repair shop? Was it smelly? Was it stinky? Were there greasy old rags lying around? Was that countertop, that you, would you even touch it? No, because you're going to get greasy, dirty. Another thing that stinks is the repair shops that keep your car forever. They're not honest, and they don't call you back when they say they will. If that was your last experience at a vehicle repair shop, well, listen, I want to tell you about Europix. Europix takes the stink out of European auto repair. At Europix, you get a free 15-minute no-wrench inspection with an estimate at every visit, no high-pressure sales tactics. And at Europix, you get a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair appointment. Never pay dealer prices. Europix now in Franklin, 100 Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and their newest facility in Mount Juliet, right across from the Dairy Queen. 844-EUROFIX, that's 844-EUROFIX, or visit myEuroFix.com and tell them your friend and radio buddy Brian Wilson sent you.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
A small channel open in the port of Baltimore will tell you what that means. A man who was missing found dead, and Trump's social media company, a rough day on the market. Those stories, 5:30, Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of sport, the thrill of victory, and the agony of defeat.
It's time for Mac Maury's wild world of sports. And now, without further ado, the man you know, the man you love, he's the man, the myth, the legend, the one and only Mac Maury.
Oh, yeah. I'm loved, I'm a myth, but I'm here.
Yeah, you're a man, the myth, the legend.
Don't let it go to your head, right?
All right.
That's right.
Too late.
Well, we got an awful lot of stuff we need
do
to cover here because there was stuff that's been happening since we were all last together on Good Friday.
That is right. We were tracking the Sweet 16 game, Tennessee-Creighton. That happened Friday night. Tennessee was able to get things done. They took care of Creighton. I say take care. It was a close game that came down to the wire. Tennessee eked by. It was an awesome win. And then, of course, that led us to the Elite Eight game that we saw last night, and it came down into a loss to Purdue, 72-66. I want to get to that. I want to have time to analyze that. First, I'll start with Lady Vols, though, because there was some Lady Vols news that came out today for the basketball team. They have fired their head coach, Kelly Harper, after 5 seasons with the team. Of course, she's a 3-time national champion back in the 90s under Pat Summitt, a longtime Lady Vol. So much history and time spent with this program now as a player and, of course, as a coach. And she had some success in her 5 years. Couldn't get past the Sweet 16. That was the farthest she made in the tournament. And it was time for a new direction for the Lady Vols, especially after a disappointing season this year. That's a program that has their standards set extremely high.
Very high.
And honestly, 5 years is a long leash. She had that tenure. She was a player, so they gave her some time. And now it's time to maybe see if we go outside the Pat Summitt tree and maybe venture into new waters. It may be time for that. As sad as that is to say, it may be time to go somewhere else for the Lady Vols. So we'll see what they do there. Back to the Volunteers, 66-72 was the final score. They against Purdue, a number 1 seed, who they had lost to previously this season in the regular season, very early on in the year, a close game just a few years ago. That Admiral Schofield, Grant Williams-led team lost to Purdue in the Sweet 16 and in what was pretty much a buzzer beater, questionable foul call and a 3-pointer. But nevertheless, they did lose to Purdue a few years ago. And then, of course, they meet their maker again in Purdue. 7'4" Zach Edey drops 40 points and 16 rebounds on the Volunteers. Yeah. He's just a lot to deal with, man, physically and just everything. There's just a lot of Zach Edey to deal with. That is a big man, and he actually moves rather gracefully for a 7'4" guy.
Think about it. I'm a tall guy. I'm 6'4". That guy's a foot taller than I am.
Foot taller, add on, 100 pounds.
Yeah.
And, that's Zach Edey. And he can move. He knows where his body is. We'll see how he does at the pro level, but it doesn't really matter. There's not the size and the strength to deal with Zach Edey on a real level. The officiating was frustrating, but I'm not going to sit in here and blame the refs. That's not what I want to do as a fan of any losing team, but it was frustrating. You've got Tennessee players fouling out.
You don't want to whine about it, but it's frustrating.
It's frustrating. It is. Zach Edey's sitting there elbowing every there with his 4-foot-long arm, and he's got one foul the whole game.
Can't help it. He's a big
just so big. Oh, my gosh. But, nevertheless, what a battle between 2 finalists for the Naismith Player of the Year. Dalton Knecht goes off for 37 points for the Vols. Zach Edey with 40. It was the matchup you wanted. I mean, it was a nail-biter up until the last minute and a half or so, and then it was the foul game and timeouts, and Purdue ends up pulling it away. But what did I mention on Friday? I mentioned that mid-range floater game around the elbow and inside, did I not?
Yep.
You did.
Where did they shoot the worst from on Sunday? From the elbow and mid-range.
Yep.
Zakai Ziegler could not make a floater, and that was his thing. I bragged on him. He has that floater. Couldn't make it. Jonas Adu, they gave him jump shots early in the first half. Airballed 2 of them. He played himself off the floor. It was abysmal from Jonas Adu. Could not find a jump shot. So, it was Knecht on, just trying to carry everyone on his back. The next highest leading scorer was Josiah Jordan-James with 8. 37 and 8, that's quite a disparity. So, great season, though, for the Volunteers. Obviously, you want to see them try and make the first Final Four. It was only the second Elite Eight appearance. but you'll take what you can get. But that doesn't mean basketball is over. Obviously, the men's tournament, we'll see the Final Four next weekend, and the Elite Eight for the women's tournament tonight. And there are some fantastic games. Angel Reese versus Caitlin Clark, LSU versus Iowa. Talk about Naismith Player of the Year awards. That is it on the women's side. We saw these two face off last year in the tournament. It was awesome. I think it's going to be just as intense here tonight. That game at 6:15. You got UConn, USC, Juju Watkins for USC. She's another amazing player that'll go kill it in the WNBA. We're really starting to see women's basketball evolve into something where we can have real debates, rivalries, legacy arguments, legacy discussions. So it's exciting for the women's game of basketball, and I'm excited to see two top-tier players face off, Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark.
Real quick, going back to the Vols, Elite Eight performance, didn't make it to the Final Four. Is Coach Barnes safe, do you think?
Coach Barnes is very safe.
Okay.
Coach Barnes is safe. I mentioned that, and I had Behind the Box Score podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. I had Rocky Top Insider Ryan Shumpert come on and say that the only way Rick Barnes would leave Tennessee, as of right now, would be because he would just choose to retire, and I don't see that either.
Gotcha.
All right. Well, it's time to take off the sports hat, put on the news hat. Time for the news at 5:31.
$5:31. I'm Mac Morey with your top stories. Clouds, 78 degrees. Could see showers tonight that'll turn into storms that are possibly severe tomorrow. A level 3 out of 5 right now. Got the latest traffic report and a weather forecast in 5 minutes. A temporary channel now open in the critical port of Baltimore following the collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge there. City officials saying it's a narrow and shallow opening that'll allow more emergency teams to get to the area in small boats. Jay O'Brien is on the scene in nearby Dundalk, Maryland.
The temporary channel right now that is open is going to be used for vessels that are tied to the ongoing salvage operation. It can fit ships that are about 10 feet in the water. Right? It has a depth of 10 feet. They're going to open a secondary channel that has a depth of about 15 feet. The main channel is 50 feet. The ships that will be able to pass through these temporary channels that they're creating will be much smaller than the ones that could pass through, obviously, this main drag here. That's A. And B, at the early hours here, it's going to be constrained only to ships that are part of this ongoing salvage efforts.
In Tennessee, a man found dead. Channel 4 says that a man who was reported missing in early February was found dead over the weekend in a pond in Perry County. Kids were riding their four-wheelers. They came upon the body in a spring-fed pond. Officials confirmed that it was the body of 38-year-old James Ray. Deputies searched the area for days. When Ray was first reported missing, they found nothing. And it was a rough day on the stock market for Truth Social's parent company. Shares of Trump Media and Technology Group were down sharply in today's trading. Here's Stephen Portnoy.
The sell-off seemed to be sparked by Trump Media's disclosure that it ended last year with a loss of nearly $60 million. Shares of the firm dropped more than 20%, leading to a $2 billion decline in the company's overall value and the value of the shares held by the company's namesake. Despite Monday's decline, Donald Trump's stake in the company is still worth more than $3 billion on paper.
And that is the latest news. Weather and traffic next. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Let me tell you, if I could, about the folks over at the Restoration Wellness MedSpa. That's right. Listen, I have a question for you. You happy with your weight? I decidedly was not happy with mine. I started regaining a lot of the weight that I lost last year, and I decided to do something about it. Though I've never taken on a weight loss client before, I am impressed with the program Jamie and Carly at Restoration Wellness MedSpa in Lebanon developed for me. You see, it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. They took a look at my history, my lifestyle, and suggested an approach that is starting to show some real results. I mean, today, down 15 pounds. Amazingly, I'm not hungry, which is huge. Beyond that, Cabana Wife and I are undergoing peptide therapy at Restoration Wellness MedSpa and are thrilled with the results. We both noticed greater mental clarity and increased energy. So whether your goal is to lose weight or improve your overall health, Restoration Wellness MedSpa has a solution for you. Maybe it's time for you to join more than 1,000 patients who have already seen life-changing results. Here's the number, 615-470-8124. Learn more at restorationwellnessmedspa.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
It's 38 minutes past the hour, 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Brian Wilson in the chair. Hope you had a great Easter weekend with family and friends, and I hope you were lucky enough to get a good Easter dinner. It's always funny. You know, isn't it funny how we all focus at family time and the meal?
Well, that's what it's all about.
Well, no, it's not what it's all about, but I mean, it certainly is a part of the tradition that has emerged over time.
Otherwise, you wouldn't have good enough reason to spend time around the family.
I know. Yes. Well, we're, look, it's family, but we will feed you some good food. That's right.
Okay, I'll be there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we had ham. I hadn't had a good ham in a long time. Yeah. But anyway, long story short, there have been some things that have happened in the Mideast and with Israel, etc., that are probably, it's probably the first blow in many counter blows that are going to be coming. Look, Israel apparently conducted an airstrike inside of Syria and took out a senior, not a Syrian, a senior Iranian commander. Mohammad Reza Zahedi, a senior commander of the IRGC's Quds Force in Syria and Lebanon, was among those killed in the strike, according to Reuters and Iranian media. Iranian media reported Monday that an Israeli missile strike flattened the Iranian consulate in Damascus, killing a handful of people. And Tehran is pretty upset about it, vowing a harsh military response to the attack, according to Iranian media channels. Statement from Iranian ambassador to Syria Hussein Akbar said the embassy was attacked by an F-35 fighter jets and 6 missiles. Akbar accused Israel of violating international laws and says it does everything contrary to humanity. That's their take on it. The Hill has reached out to the Israeli military for comment. Israel rarely acknowledges strikes outside of Syria, but it has frequently conducted them for years amid this ongoing shadow war, proxy war that they have going with Iran. Syria's Minister of Defense also reported the strike around 5 p.m. local time in Damascus, said it completely destroyed the embassy. Israel has repeatedly struck senior Iranian officials in Syria since the war broke out, where Israeli troops are fighting the Iran-backed Palestinian militant groups Hamas. Proxy wars. You're gonna conduct a proxy war. You're going to send your people to Syria to oversee it, then, I think, that becomes a legitimate military target. Another take on it, this from the Jerusalem Post. Israeli airstrike in Damascus kills top Iranian general. Mohammad Reza Zahedi, the top commander of the Quds Force of the Iranian Revolutionary Guards Corps for Lebanon and Syria, was assassinated in an airstrike on Monday. Highest-ranking Iranian killed since the current war started, even higher than Mousavi, who was killed in December, according to the Jerusalem Post. Besides his wide-ranging responsibility for terror on Israel's border, he was the highest-level interlocutor for Tehran and with Hezbollah. So this is a guy he's the Iranian puppet master in the region. And he's supporting all of these proxy groups, Hamas and Hezbollah and the whole bunch that have been carrying out the attacks against Israel. And Israel, it would appear, although they haven't confirmed it, they never will, it would appear that Israel did conduct this airstrike outside of Israel. And with Iran now promising that there will be a response, everybody's on high alert. Against that backdrop, U.S. and Israeli officials were to meet virtually Monday. Now, they initially were going to meet face-to-face, but then the U.S. and Israel, they got into a snit with each other. And so they decided, well, we'll do it virtually by computer. It's a Zoom call is what it is, to discuss Israel's plans for a military operation in Rafah as part of its ongoing war against Hamas, a U.S. official confirmed in a statement. It can confirm, are set to meet virtually today. We anticipate follow-up meetings in person following additional work by expert teams. This is just people going through the motions. I mean, Israel, say what you will about Benjamin Netanyahu, and he apparently had to bow out for a few hours and have a hernia operated on. No fun there. But he's not going to give up until he feels like the people who attacked Israel on October 7th have been completely destroyed and incapacitated. And if he has to go into Rafah, I think he'll go into Rafah. So anyway, that was happening behind closed doors. Then there's this story, as long as we're doing sort of foreign relations and, things that are going on in the world beyond our shores. There was a hell of a report on 60 Minutes, and it was a joint investigation by 60 Minutes, The Insider, and Der Spiegel, which is a German magazine, very well known for its left-leaning investigative reporting. But one way or the other, they have a reputation for pretty much getting their facts right. A lead U.S. military investigator examining reports of what has become known as the Havana Syndrome told 60 Minutes he believes U.S. officials are being attacked by Russia and that the official threshold to prove it was set impossibly high. Greg Edgegreen, a now retired Army lieutenant colonel who ran the Pentagon investigation into what officials refer to as anomalous health incidents, said the bar for proof was set so high because the country doesn't want to face down some very hard truths, like the existence of possible failures to protect Americans. Unfortunately, I can't get into specifics based on the classification, but I can tell you at a very early stage, I started to focus on Moscow. A 2023 government report deemed it very unlikely that a foreign adversary was behind the mysterious brain injury suffered by U.S. national security officials, yet more than 100 Americans have symptoms scientists say could be caused by a beam of microwaves or acoustic ultrasound. Victims are frustrated that the government publicly doubts an adversary is targeting Americans. This is a 5-year-long investigation, has now uncovered new evidence pointing toward Russia. Can you imagine you're on assignment as a diplomat, or maybe you work for some of the intelligence agencies that have to travel around the world? White House staff, CIA officers, FBI agents, and military officers and their families are among those who believe were wounded by a secret weapon firing a high-energy beam of microwaves or ultrasound. The officers targeted were top performers. Consistently, there was a Russia nexus. There was some angle that they had worked on against Russia, focused on Russia, and had done extremely well. Last year, President Biden attended the NATO summit in Lithuania after Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Multiple sources told 60 Minutes that a high-level Department of Defense official was struck during the summit. Edgegreen shared what the reported incident meant to him. It tells me there are no barriers on what Moscow will do or who they will attack, and that if we don't face this head-on, the problem is going to get worse. 60 Minutes told the story of someone that they have identified as Carrie, a Havana syndrome victim who's still an FBI agent working in counterintelligence. Her case also points to Russia. She was home in Florida, in 2021, when she was hit by a crippling force. Bam, inside my right ear. It was like a dentist drilling on steroids. That feeling when it gets too close to your eardrum, it's like that 10 times. At the same time, she said the battery in her phone began to swell until it broke the case. She passed out on the couch because of chest pain. She was checked by a cardiologist, then returned to duty. For months, she complained to her colleagues of memory issues and problems multitasking. My baseline changed. I was not the same person. Wow. She spoke with the FBI's permission, but wasn't allowed to talk about the investigations she was working on when she was hit. 60 Minutes learned from other sources, one of them involved Russian Vitaly Kovalev, who was caught speeding in a Ford Mustang near Key West in 2020. They found car notes when they arrested him after a high-speed chase. They found car notes related to bank accounts, along with a device capable of erasing the car's computerized data. There was also a Russian passport found. What 60 Minutes has learned, along with investigative partner Christo Grozev, a journalist for The Insider, an investigative magazine by Russian exiles, suggests that Kovalev was a Russian spy. Well, he's driving a good car. Good to be a Russian spy in Key West, driving around in a new Mustang. That's what she was working on. So what we have here is a situation where you were a diplomat that worked in a country where you were focused on studying Russia, an FBI agent doing counterinterrorism, whatever it was. What they found out is that the people who were doing that kind of work and were in those kind of locations, like Havana, like overseas, at embassies, etc., who were really good at what they did with regard to Russia, were targeted, it would seem, by this mysterious energy beam. I don't know, microwave? Was it ultrasound? I don't know, but that we can't bring ourselves to admit that it was the Russians. I mean, I think at some point, if you say, can we absolutely prove that there was some guy named Boris was pushing the button, and he's a Russian and he works for KGB or whatever it is now? No, we can't. But does all of the evidence suggest to us that the people who were targeted had some kind of Russian connection to their jobs and were very, very good at what they did. I mean, it would be very, very smart of the Russians if they wanted to degrade our ability to do analysis of what's going on in Russia to take out the people who are best at it, to make them unable to do their jobs. Wow. I guess maybe we see these shows on television and we think, oh, that's too wild, that's too crazy. I don't think any of it's too wild or crazy. I think we don't even know a tenth of the kinds of things that go on in the world of spy versus spy. 50 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk. All right, listen up. What I'm going to tell you is important to your health and well-being. Call my friends at the Wellness Institute of Nashville today if you are feeling pain, your back, your arms, your limbs, your extremities. 615-246-5009. You see, there's no pill or spinal creams that can open up the spinal disc to take pressure off your nerves. You either have to have surgery, you got to go under the knife, or you go for a non-surgical procedures like they provide at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Well, I took the non-surgical approach to the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Ashley are my experts on non-surgical spinal decompression. It has really, really helped me. If you suffer from back or neck pain or facing some knee surgery, you owe it to yourself to try the Wellness Institute of Nashville first. You will see Dr. Mitchell or Dr. Ashley at every single visit. They're experts. Dr. Mitchell has studied and practiced all over the world. Dr. Ashley not only has chiropractic experience, but she has achieved clinical excellence in holistic healing, ranging from nutrition, cold laser, stress reduction, and more. Listen, just give them a call. That's all you need to do. 615-246-5009. That's 615-246-5009 to set up your appointment. You're going to learn a lot, and if you need to know more about them and do a little more study, just go to their website, painisbad.com.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation. What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.
Six o'clock, I'm Mac Maury with your top story. 77 degrees. Been a cloudy day in Nashville. Possibility for showers and some thunderstorms later on tonight. Possibility for severe thunderstorms. We're tracking all of that tomorrow right here in Middle Tennessee, 1 to 8 p.m. That is the updated timeline. We'll keep you updated right here on Super Talk. Traffic, weather forecast 5 minutes away. A temporary channel now open in the critical port of Baltimore following the collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge there. City officials saying it's a narrow and shallow opening that will allow more emergency teams to get to the area in small boats. Jay O'Brien's on the scene in nearby Dundalk, Maryland.
Above the water, it is dangerous, but below the waterline, it is even more dangerous, according to the Rear Admiral of the Coast Guard here. And that is because the metal of the ship, he says, is so intertwined and tangled that if you cut it, because they've got to cut it up to remove it out of the water because it's too heavy to lift out on its own, but if you cut it in the wrong place, it could spring outwards and create serious damage for the divers and the other crews that are in the process of trying to remove that debris.
Right now in Tennessee, a bill is passed in the volunteer state that'll affect how police handle traffic stops. Senate Bill 2572 prohibits local government from adopting or enacting an ordinance that prohibits law enforcement from taking all necessary steps to prevent and detect crime. Governor Lee joined WTN's The Matt Murphy Show today and discussed how this bill and what he's done to support law enforcement will help improve the safety of Tennesseans, particularly in metro areas.
When completed, our new training center will be the best one in the country. We got to support law enforcement, number one. But we've also, we put $150 million in the last couple of cycles, and those are dollars that go to locals, to they're called Violent Crime Intervention Grant Funds. They go to the Sheriff's Department, to the local police departments, for them to use to battle locally their own crime issues. We've sent strike teams in and then permanently expanded the number of highway patrol in areas and places where we have particular crime issues.
The governor said that these law enforcement members need to know that we are behind them. Crime right now in the state. A man was shot in the parking lot of a Food Lion grocery store. It happened in Donaldson around 3:45 this afternoon. The masked gunman now being searched for by officials. The suspect, about 6'2" in his 20s, was wearing a black hoodie, gray jeans, and a ski mask. He allegedly approached the victim and tried to rob him. That victim's condition unknown at this time. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather on the way. I'm Mac Maury, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandison. I love my Patriot Supply. It's emergency food so you can care for your family no matter what. And today, we're fixing creamy chicken flavored rice. And the thing I love about my Patriot Supply, it's easy. You just get the water, turn on the heat, and in minutes, we are ready to go. Now, this food lasts for 25 years in special packaging, and yes, it does taste great. And in just minutes, it's ready to eat. Patriots don't rely on the government to take care of their family in emergencies. It's up to you. Order right now and get $200 off a 3-month food kit. It's important to go to preparewithmandis.com to get that great discount. That's preparewithmandis.com to get that great discount. Preparewithmandis.com. $200 off a 3-month food kit.
It's 6 o'clock, 6:06. I'll call it 6:07. We'll just round it up. I'm Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy. Good evening. Glad that you're with us here on this Monday, April 1st. I think we've gotten through the show without a major April Fool's joke. As far as I know, I have.
I haven't been made aware of any, so I think we're good.
I'll tell you one that we need to check on was, we told you the other day that there was going to be a sparkling drink released. It's sort of, a can of sparkling water with apple and some interesting flavors. But one of them that was going to be being sold by the folks at 7-Eleven was sparkling hot dog water. And they said that I said, that's an April Fool's joke. Nobody's really, are they serious about that? But they had a picture of it. And they said, we'll tell you more about it next month. I thought next month is April 1st. That's not far away. Maybe this is an April Fool's joke, but I haven't seen anything to suggest that they've walked it back.
It's funny. The last thing I see mentioning it was 4 days ago. So I don't know. That's a great question.
Well, not April Fool's, but I don't know. I can't imagine anybody wanting to drink. It said it will take like a hot dog water, even adding a little mustard and ketchup into the mix. I know. It's like, wow. I don't
Salty.
know. Yeah, it doesn't sound good to me. It doesn't sound good at all. Well, I want to make sure that everybody had a good oyster weekend. Did you have a good oyster weekend?
Oh, I always have a great oyster weekend.
Thanks, everybody. And by the way, say hello to oyster bunnies. Come on up, bunnies.
Yeah, but the oyster Sunday when the oyster bunny arrives. That was this morning at the White House. They did their annual Easter egg hunt. I don't know. I read somewhere that there are going to be 40,000 people, and I thought, man, there's no way. You can't put 40,000 people on the lawn at the White House there. But he had his thing, and he was standing on the balcony overlooking the children and the families that all gathered below, and wished everybody a happy oyster.
Thanks, everybody. And by the way, say hello to oyster bunnies. Come on up, bunnies. Get up here so they can see you. Come on, get in there. Pretty big bunny, huh?
Good grief.
I know. And he didn't even realize it. From the swamp, as long as we're talking about swamp, a lot of people who were there in attendance, I will tell you, are reporters. I did it one time. I will admit that I took my daughter to the Easter egg roll because I had a press pass, and back then that's all it took was a press pass to get in. They would wave you through with your child. And she was too young, really, but I got a picture of her on the White House lawn doing the part of the Easter egg roll. Glad that I did it. But a lot of people, journalists, they get sort of pretty good treatment there most of the time at the White House. You get to do things and see things that you perhaps would never go and do. And one of the things, if you're a traveling journalist, one who travels with the president, and I was for about 18 months or 2 years, something like that, I was on Air Force One quite a bit with Bill Clinton. You see, as it turns out, Bill Clinton was in the middle of the Monica Lewinsky scandal. And when you're in the middle of a scandal, the one thing you don't want to be is in Washington. You want to be out of Washington. So that means I spent a lot of time on Air Force One. Just so you know, the way it works is that there are people who participate in what they call travel pool. And it's on the broadcast side, it's ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, and Fox. And that meant that every 5 days, you were the travel pool correspondent. It rotated every 5 days. And if the president was going to Singapore, you'd get on the plane and go to Singapore. If the president was going to play golf, you got in the motorcade and you went and sat in the clubhouse until he finished his round of golf. You're always nearby. If he was going out on a fundraiser, you would go and you had to babysit, but you got to ride on Air Force One. And it's pretty cool. I mean, right here on my wall, I got a certificate. It says, this is to certify that during the presidency of Bill Clinton, Brian Wilson was a passenger and a guest of the president on Air Force One. Very cool. I'm very proud of it. It's the only memory I have. It's got a couple of pictures, but, they didn't like you taking pictures on the plane. They let you take pictures on the outside of the plane, but actually there were still some things they didn't want you to take close-up shots of. It's sort of interesting. But you sit in the back, right next to the galley, and then you're sort of trapped because behind you is the galley. You don't really go in there. In front of you is one of the compartments where the Secret Service agents sit, the extra agents. It's like usually about maybe 8 or 9 of them, maybe 10. So you weren't getting through them. And so you were sort of trapped there, but it was good. It was good living. You could order up a movie. You could, if you had something to report, you could pick up the phone and call from, "Hi, this is Brian Wilson from aboard Air Force One." Those are like the coolest words I've ever spoken. "Hi, this is Brian Wilson calling in from Air Force One." And you did that. And so when you were a travel pool, your job was to report for everyone. You weren't like, I was there and I was a Fox News reporter, but my main responsibility was not to report directly to Fox News, but to report to everyone. There was a special number that was always set up that you called when you had news, and it would ring in phones all over the Washington Bureau. ABC's bureau, NBC's bureau. See, the phone would ring instantaneously, and then everybody would pick up. ABC's here, CBS, NBC, CNN, Fox. Got everybody okay? Brian Wilson calling, and here's what's going on. And you would give them whatever happened. Sometimes it was big stuff. Sometimes it was not. Sometimes it was just boring. A lot of, sometimes I would be on Air Force One, and I'd be lucky if I ever laid eyes on Bill Clinton during the whole trip, except when he got on. I could always see that. But, a lot of times you were in the motorcade and you stayed in the motorcade and you didn't get out, just depending on what was up. But it was cool, I will say, flying on Air Force One. Very cool. I never once thought about stealing from Air Force One. From the nationalpulse.com, a White House staffer and a reporter recently rendezvoused to address a recurring issue of items being taken from Air Force One, the presidential plane, according to a report from Politico. The problem was highlighted when the Office of the President noted that several branded items were missing from the press cabin following a trip in February. In response to the incident, an anonymous email was sent offering assistance for a quote-unquote quiet return of any items quote-unquote accidentally taken.
Do they put accidentally in quotes?
Yeah, that's right, accidentally. The individual who took linens from the presidential plane met with a White House representative near the Andrew Jackson statue in Lafayette Square, where the item was confidentially returned. This petty theft seems not to be an isolated incident, as several sources have reportedly observed Air Force One being used as a source of souvenirs by the traveling press pack. Anonymous tips even identified a former major newspaper correspondent serving a dinner party on stolen Air Force One crockery on their plates. And
that's bold.
So they bring you your meal, and it's on an Air Force One presidential plate. It's it's got gold around the rim, and it's a beautiful plate. As I remember, it's very royal blue, and they bring out the silverware, and it's silverware, not just cutlery. It's silverware. And, you have your nice meal, and then they come and they take it away. So I guess somebody had to, take a dirty dish and put it in their briefcase and do that a number of times until he had a full setting. A setting of 4 or 8? I mean, come on.
Wow.
Unbelievable. Petty theft on official property doesn't seem confined to the plane. The executive mansion also noted incidents in 2015 of disappearing items, some of significant value. To discourage theft, the president of the White House Correspondents Association, Kelly O'Donnell, reminded reporters not to take items from the aircraft. It's like you have to tell people this, adding that items with Air Force One logos could be purchased outside the plane. However, sources indicate that the collectible items available for purchase are not comparable in quality to the onboard counterparts. The only thing I ever took I'll take it back. You could go to the bathroom when you're there at the Christmas party. You go into the bathroom because you're in the living quarters and there's a different bathroom. And inside that bathroom, there were paper towels that had the gold embossed seal of the President of the United States on them. And so, it said the White House. So, a lot of people would wipe their hands, then grab one, put it in their pocket as a souvenir, just to show, hey, look, honey, I went to the White House. I brought you this paper napkin
from the toilet.
That's right. And then the other time I think I did do something was I was at a Christmas party at the White House during the Bush years, George Bush years, got invited, and they had little cookies that looked like their dog Barney. Remember Barney? They were delicious cookies. So I wrapped up about 4 of them and took them home and put them in my pocket. I felt bad about it. I said, that's like taking home leftovers. But I wanted one for my daughter. I thought she'd get a big kick out of it.
Yeah, that's all
hardly
right.
a crime, really, honestly. No. These journalists, you're on Air Force One. I don't know. The linens, I guess, are embossed. I didn't notice that. But apparently some people would take the linen, some people would take the plates. And something else got taken. And it turned into a thing. We'll ask no questions, but we want it back. We'll not press any charges. We'll give you amnesty. See, they give reporters and illegal immigrants amnesty. That's what they want to do. Anyway, it is a very cool plane. I will say this about Air Force One. We had a whole routine. When you arrived, you stood near the engine on the left side of the aircraft, near the stairs, not the little stairs, that they're using now, but the big stairs. And then when the president arrived, you got his arrival usually up the stairs, and he stops and waves, and you get that. Then you scramble, and there's an entrance to the back, and we go up a small set of stairs in the back, and that would take us right to the press area of the plane. They'd pull up, and then we'd take off. But one day, I got out there early waiting for the president to arrive, and there was something happening at the White House that had delayed Bill Clinton at the time. And so a lot of people were hanging around for like a couple of hours just with nothing to do, waiting for the president to arrive. And one of the White House press people said, would you like, since we have a minute or two, would you like a guided tour of the aircraft? And we all said, hell yes, because there were parts of the aircraft we'd never seen. I'd never seen. And so, that movie, Air Force One, with, I don't know, was it, what's his name? Han Solo. Like what?
Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford, thank you.
Han Solo.
Parts of that were very realistic. And of course, there's no emergency pod in the belly of the plane. That was made up.
Oh,
I know. Sadly, wouldn't that be cool? There's an emergency pod in the basement, in the bottom of the plane. But a lot of the things that you see there were pretty good representations. There's a big conference room. There's an office where the president sits, and we got to go in there and look, and there's all the stuff that he has at his disposal. There's a shower that they talk about how the showers were designed so that you could you have to sit on like a bicycle seat and strap yourself in and then take a shower.
Okay.
Well, you get in case there's turbulence or anything. And then there's a bedroom where they can sleep, which is right in the nose of the aircraft. And then upstairs, they wouldn't let us go upstairs to the little hump on the top of the 747. That's where all the communication stuff is. We couldn't go up there. They wouldn't let us go into there. But we saw where the staff sits and where everybody else sits and where this, that, and the other. I mean, it was a very interesting tour that not most people who fly Air Force One never get to see all of that kind of stuff. So that was very cool.
Yeah, it would be neat.
But my only memory, the only thing that I kept was you could always ask for little boxes of peanut M&Ms that had the Air Force One logo on them. Oh. And I would come home and I would, that would be like, hey, Mom, I was just on Air Force One, thought you'd like some peanuts. Like some M&M peanuts.
Yeah.
And, that was pretty cool. And they would give you, all you had to do is ask, they give you 2 or 3, 4 or 5 boxes, whatever you wanted. And then I did that. And then I guess the other thing was that I got my certificate, which was really, really, it's very special. I mean, when you get that certificate, It's like something to hang on your wall. People look at it and say, well, that's cool. Probably one of the coolest things I ever did, but I never, ever stole any silverware, plates, or glasses. No, not once.
Inspect your cabinetry at home.
That's right. 21 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Busy Bee, when you need heat or cold AC, it's 775-7833. Remember that jingle? Well, I tell you, that's what you need to do. If you have a problem heating or cooling, I think right now we're sort of moving into the season where you need to make sure your cooling is working well. And if it's not, just call that number, 775-7833. They'll buzz over to your house. They'll get you up and running. They'll get you going good. And then what I would suggest to you is seriously consider becoming a member of the Beehive Club. It starts with, you can be a member for as little as $99. And with that, you get 3 thorough maintenance services on your systems, one aimed at heating, one aimed at cooling, one aimed at plumbing. No overtime charges 24/7 and 10% off all repairs. Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling is your official Rude Pro partner. So for satisfaction guaranteed, call Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, 615-775-7833, online at busybehvac.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
"26 past the hour now of 6 o'clock. Good evening, everyone. Hope you're getting home safely. A nice day today. Tomorrow, be weather aware. We're going to have some potentially severe weather moving in. The thing I've read says late morning and through evening. So keep it tuned right here to Super Talk 99.7. We'll keep you apprised of what's going on. And if it gets bad, we're going to crash the boards and give you the kind of coverage that you need. But they really, this is like the first time they've sort of sent up the warning this spring. We had that other bad storm that came through there for a while. We had one back in December. Remember that? That was pretty surprising. But anyway, tomorrow, unstable air and severe storms and wind. So bring in the cushions. In the swamp, we've been watching what's going on in the House of Representatives sort of closely, given the fact that, Republicans hang on to the majority there by the thinnest of margins. Absolutely the thinnest of margins. And amid all this, Marjorie Taylor Greene decided that she was going to, start the paperwork on a recall for the current Speaker of the House. And Mike Johnson, I think, is a fairly conservative guy, but he has run afoul of some of the conservatives in the House of Representatives who felt that he was too accommodating to the Senate during budget negotiations, which have just concluded. She was irritated by that, said he's got to go. The problem is things are so dicey right now, and we're holding on to the Republican majority by the thinnest of margins. Here in a few days, when certain people are moved on and retired, our margin that gives us control of the House of Representatives will be 1. If we lose 1 member, if somebody trips and falls, and I don't want to wish any of that on anybody, but I'm telling you, things happen. When you talk about a body of 435 people, there's a certain number of that group, especially given the fact that many of them are elderly, who are just going to pass on, and we can't afford to lose 1 Republican, not 1. So, that she is making all these noises about vacating the speakership at that time, it just seems like it's not the good timing. So there was a meeting today between Speaker Johnson and Ms. Greene. I'm sorry, it will be held on the 22nd, and discuss it. I'm sorry, excuse me, one more time. The expected meeting will be held after Ms. Greene filed a motion on March 22nd to vacate the speakership, which was prompted by Mr. Johnson's collaboration with Democrats to pass a $1.2 trillion spending package and avoid a partial government shutdown. She says it's not a privilege motion, so it doesn't move automatically. She said just like a pink slip. We're going to talk early next week. I guess that's now. Mr. Johnson said during an interview on Fox News Sunday Night in America with Trey Gowdy. Trey Gowdy said he understood Ms. Greene's frustration, but with a very narrow GOP majority in the House, sometimes Republicans cannot get the perfect measure. Marjorie's a friend. She's very frustrated, for example, about the last appropriation bill. Guess what? So am I, says Johnson. These are not perfect pieces of legislation. I will tell you, having watched that body operate for a long, long time, that's just the way it is when you have divided government. You're not going to get everything that you want, and they're not going to get everything they want, and we have divided government right now. What you normally have when you vote for a House that is controlled by House controlled by Republicans and a Senate controlled by, I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time saying that. When you have a House controlled by Republicans and a Senate controlled by Democrats, what you are voting for essentially is gridlock, that things are not going to move very fast. And it's frustrating to be in a situation where nothing that you want to get accomplished can be accomplished because of gridlock. From my perspective, gridlock is not always a bad thing, because I believe that government which governs least is that which governs best, or the government that governs best is that which governs least, I think is the way you say it. I love the fact that there's some gridlock. Keeps them from getting anything serious accomplished, and that's not a bad idea. But it also means that the must-pass things like budgets become immensely controversial. So I hope that they meet. I hope they bury the hatchet. Now is not the time to have this fight. Hold on to that slim majority that you have, and don't rock the boat in that regard until we get to the election. All right? 31 past the hour now of 6 o'clock. You know, the chairman of the Federal Reserve has said that we're on an unsustainable fiscal path, that we aren't going to pay off that $34 trillion debt anytime soon. You know what the government will do. They'll print more money to pay the interest on the debt and thus debase the U.S. dollar. Have you thought about making an investment in something that will last, something that will always have value? Maybe you've thought about adding gold or other precious metals to your portfolio, but you feel like you don't have the knowledge you need to make a smart decision. That's the way I felt. But I got the professional guidance I needed at Nashville Gold & Coin. You see, gold and silver can be a safe haven in uncertain economic times, and my friends at Nashville Gold & Coin are standing by to answer all your questions about the precious metals market. You make an appointment, one-on-one, you sit down with my friends at Nashville Gold & Coin. They'll answer all of your questions and help you make the precious metals investment that is right for you. It is friendly, you'll learn a lot, and you'll never be subjected to a high-pressure sales pitch. To set up that one-on-one appointment, just go to NashvilleGoldandCoin.com. That's NashvilleGoldandCoin.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandison. I love my Patriot Supply. It's emergency food so you can care for your family no matter what. And today, we're fixing creamy chicken-flavored rice. And the thing I love about my Patriot Supply, it's easy. You just get the water, turn on the heat, and in minutes, we are ready to go. Now, this food lasts for 25 years in special packaging, and yes, it does taste great. And in just minutes, it's ready to eat. Patriots don't rely on the government to take care of their family in emergencies. It's up to you. Order right now and get $200 off a 3-month food kit. It's important to go to preparewithmandis.com to get that great discount. That's preparewithmandis.com to get that great discount. Preparewithmandis.com. $200 off a 3-month food kit.
"38 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Brian Wilson in the chair, on the air for a few more minutes. 22 minutes, we hand it over to the news, and then after the news, Mark Levin takes over. And you hear that voice. He's here. I love it when they do that. If you're out on the highway and within the sound of my voice right now, you may see somewhere along the way in your line of vision a big semi-truck. 35,000 pounds of truck barreling down the highway. And, you got people behind the wheel who do this for a living. But you know what? Those people may not be there much longer. This is really interesting. And I did not realize that we were so far along in this process. This story I found from Palmer, Texas, talks about how they're very close to sending semi-trucks down your highways without a person aboard. There will be no human being aboard that truck. That it'll be autonomous. So, Perched in the cab of a 35,000-pound semi-truck lumbering south on Interstate 45 in Texas, A.J. Jenkins watched the road while the big rig steering wheel slid through his hands. Jenkins was in the driver's seat, but he wasn't driving. The gigantic 18-wheeler was guiding itself. Over several miles on the popular trucking route between Dallas and Houston, the truck navigated tire debris, maneuvered around a raggedy-looking flatbed, and slowed for an emergency vehicle. Exiting the highway, it came to an abrupt stop as a pickup truck jumped a turn and a four-way intersection. "You got to be ready for anything," said Jenkins, 64, a former FedEx driver whose job it is to take control if anything goes wrong. He said people do some crazy stuff around trucks. This is operated by Aurora Innovation, and the truck is part of a new class of autonomous big rigs plying the nation's highway, and by the end of this year, by the end of this year, the trucks will for the first time start traveling alone, without human minders like Jenkins, as two major companies, Aurora and Kodiak Robotics, launch fully autonomous trucks in the state of Texas. The advent of robot trucks could have a massive impact on America's supply chain. Imagine moving all the goods and services around the country. What is your biggest expense? Well, it's the truck, but I mean, also it's your labor. It's always your labor. Any business, the biggest expense you have is labor. What if you didn't have any labor? You loaded it up, you programmed it, and you sent it on its merry way. It can drive any hours. It doesn't get tired, doesn't have to pull over after a certain number of hours. There's not that human element to it. It could just drive. Even if it wasn't going all that fast, it could drive patiently, get down the road. Even if it took an extra couple hours, doesn't matter because there's nobody aboard. Computer doesn't get tired. I don't know. I think it's pretty interesting. And I just can't believe that we are at this position now where they can have autonomous trucks on the highway, driving down the highways and byways of America, nobody aboard. Pretty amazing. And, the guy said he thought it could work. They are transporting packages and produce, about 100 deliveries a week. And, if this becomes the thing that becomes the standard norm, it's going to be very interesting. The average driver would find it tough to spot one of Aurora's trucks, which bears only a small rear-facing sign that reads, Autonomous Test Vehicle. On this drive, the truck followed all the rules of the road and even demonstrated an uncommon courtesy to other drivers. But it's the unexpected scenarios from errors by human drivers to sudden mechanical issues that worry veteran truck drivers like Louis Pugh. I know my computer and cell phone make mistakes. Machines have bad days, too. Apparently, Texas has become the center of autonomous truck testing, though some companies have been testing in Oklahoma and New Mexico. And here's none of the accidents have been fatal or caused serious injury, but incident logs provide a window into the range of obstacles the trucks have faced. And listen to this. This is interesting. In July of 22, a Daimler truck rolled over an object on a New Mexico highway that punctured its fuel tank. Well, that could happen with a human aboard, couldn't it? I mean, I think it could. In December of 23, a deer stumbled onto the path of a Daimler truck testing in Texas. The driver took over, but the truck still hit the deer. Hey, Cabana Wife did the same thing.
No, the deer hit her.
Yeah, I know. She's very
right.
funny. That's right. Earlier that month, a pickup truck trying to overtake an Aurora vehicle hydroplaned and hit the Aurora trailer. Again, not the fault of the computer, the fault of the person in the pickup truck. Aurora detected the pickup truck, but was unable to avoid contact. Well, I think that could happen to anybody. I don't know. Everybody says, I don't know if I like to trust the computers. I think over time, what you probably are going to find is the computers are better than the people. Human error is the biggest cause of accidents, right? I don't know, but this is going to happen. And here's the thing I learned in reading this, that unless a state says you can't have an autonomous vehicle running down the highway, it's allowed. And there's a lot of states that haven't even addressed this issue. So This thing could happen pretty quickly if they prove to be successful in Texas. They'll start in areas where there's not a lot of traffic. Seems like to me the autonomous cars in the city, there's a lot of things that can go wrong. A lot of things can go wrong. So much more traffic nearby, more unpredictability of the drivers. On the interstate, in some parts of the country, it would be a blessing to not have to drive. I mean, have you ever been in that stretch between Odessa and El Paso? My God, I would love to have somebody take over the driving for that 300-mile trip that never ends. That'd be great. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But it's going to happen this year in the state of Texas. And finally, we are 1 week from the solar eclipse. It'll happen next Monday. We're going to get about 95% or 90% short of totality, just 10% short of totality here in the Nashville area. The moon will cover the sun 90%, so you got to get some glasses if you're going to look. I was planning to go to Henderson. Right now, the long-range forecast calls for rain in Nashville on that day and cloudy skies.
That could be troublesome.
So I'm looking forward to the next natural the thing that happens, the weird thing that happens in the world. Not an eclipse. That we won't have another one of those for 20 years. But apparently, trillions of cicadas are about to emerge.
Oh, joy.
Trillions of bugs to swarm. This is apparently a once every 221-year mating frenzy in weeks. See, these different broods of cicada, some of them come up at one time, some of them come up another time, some of them on a longer time, but apparently this one is going to be huge. The last time we had an emergence of cicadas was 221 years ago. This big.
It's been a while.
Yeah. So think about it. The last time this happened, the founding fathers were still alive. Billions, even trillions of cicada are going to emerge at the same time across 17 states, including Tennessee. Brood 8 and Brood 19 have been living underground for 17 and 13 years, respectively. They're going to emerge at the same time for the first time in 221 years. And it's kind of, I've seen cicada emergences, and they weren't a little, but they were a little underwhelming, the ones that I saw.
Well, we had a thread of it back just a few years ago, I thought.
That was just one little brood, yeah. But this is apparently going to be the mother of all cicada broods. Two broods emerging at the same time.
They are some creepy-looking insects, too.
Yeah, and apparently, I read a story, and I'll save it for another day, but these things are very unusual in the way that they are built and the way they live their lives. While the co-emergence of these two groups has not happened in hundreds of years, other 13-year and 17 broods have emerged at roughly the same time. 2015 was the last time a 13-year brood emerged, with a 17-year brood when brood 23 emerged. They do this in Roman numerals. I have to translate the Roman numerals. With one. The two broods weren't geographically close, so that while they were adjacent, there wasn't much overlap. There are annual cicadas. We used to have those in Texas that would make racket all year long, all summer long. Periodical cicadas only come out en masse every 13 or 17 years in some cases. There are more than 3,000 cicada species, but only 7 are periodical cicadas. Most have black bodies and red eyes and red-orange wings. They are found in North America, while annual cicadas can emerge around the rest of the world. So there you go. This will happen, and it will be over in 2 to 6 weeks. Within 2 to 6 weeks, most of the cicadas die after reproducing or in the process of emergence. 3 weeks into the process, many of the cicadas will be high in the trees where they laid their eggs. The eggs will eventually fall to the lower ground, where cicadas will hatch and burrow underground.
So it all starts over again.
And then the whole process starts over again. And what did I read about these things? Oh, yeah. copperheads love cicadas.
Oh, joy.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Apparently, I mean, they really love to eat cicadas. I mean, a lot of animals eat them. Well, if your dog eats a cicada, it won't probably hurt your dog. Be fine. But, I mean, a lot of these the animals eat them, and some of them, like, got to be careful because the copperheads come out knowing that the cicadas are there, but, they're hard to see. They're really hard to see. So be careful. 50 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock. (615-246-5009). That's the number to call for the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Set up your appointment. People, I'm going to tell you that's something important to your health and well-being. Call them if you're in pain. Your back hurts, your leg hurts, your neck, your shoulder. You got tingling in your extremities. All of these things can be made better through the application of a technology and a therapy known as non-surgical spinal decompression. And they're the masters of this. They have state-of-the-art facilities, all the latest in high-tech equipment, from the robot lasers that can stimulate your cells, and KT machine, which is a spinal decompression for knee, elongating the knee and helping repair torn meniscus and knee pain. Anti-gravity machine, which is only one of a kind, and makes you weightless during your treatment. It's pretty cool. You suffer back or neck pain, facing knee surgery, you owe it to yourself to try the Wellness Institute of Nashville first. You see Dr. Mitchell or Dr. Ashley at every single visit. Because getting better and feeling healthy is important to Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Ashley, offering half off spinal decompression treatment, half off the KT machine. So call for this appointment, 615-246-5009. Get in. And by the way, you're going to get a good deal on this right now if you're a new patient because they're still operating under 2023 prices. 615-246-5009. Learn more at painisbad.com.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.